his time period with us. It was an extremely difficult decision we made, and I would be highly optimistic that Kevin will be a head coach again in the league.
It is Believe Browns offense coordinator Tommy Rees and defensive coordinator Jim Schwarz will be candidates for the opening. Others could be in the running from outside the organization. Could include former Jets head coach and 49ers defense coordinator Robert Saleh and former Dolphins head coach and Vikings DC Brian Flores. Indications are Kevin Stfansky looking for another job and looking for one quickly. Early reports say the Giants, Titans, and Falcons expect to talk with Stfansky in the near future. In fact, reports out of Nashville say Stfansky will meet with Tennessee coming up on Saturday. Cavaliers back toward time. Going to be at Indiana taking on the Pacers. Cavs will face the Pacers without Donovan Mitchell. He is going to get the night off to rest. On the ice last night, Cleveland Monsters beat Charlotte 3-1. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The Afternoon Drive.
Why do people feel crappy about this? I'm so confused. What happened here? He won 5 games. He's won 8 games in 2 years. Yep. Why is this the reaction today?
Because I don't think he's the biggest problem.
You're not alone in this. I see it everywhere. It feels like almost like everyone talked about it, everyone wanted it, and then when you actually got it, it's like, oh, poor Kev.
No, I don't think it's poor Kevin.
That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting right now. He deserved to have what happened.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
I own the results the past 2 years. I own it entirely. And ownership evaluates every one of us in the operation on an annual basis. I'm no different. And I am grateful that they feel like I'm the right person to lead us through this transition period. That's where all my focus, energy, and dedication is going to be.
There's questions out there, well, why didn't you change both of them? Or why didn't you change Andrew and not Kevin? And I would say this, I think Andrew over the last year has done a very good job.
Our focus is on identifying and finding, the leader and the partner to bring along this young team as well as the young players that we're going to add in the next several months. So that work is going to be deliberate. It's going to be immediate. I look at, how we're positioned. We're positioned with, we'll have ample cap room at the beginning of the year. We have a defense that is, elite, and everyone, besides maybe one starter, is under contract for multiple years. I look at, some of the young core offensive players that we brought in this year, and I look at the fact that, we'll have 10 picks, 2 in the first round, and I think it's probably going to be 7 in the top 150. It gives us an incredible opportunity to continue to take a big step forward.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan. Well, good morning.
Hello.
Have you started to really get down to the nitty-gritty of the names? Come on.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of names.
Give me some names you want.
I've seen a ton of names.
I felt bad. I messed up yesterday. I got so pissed. You go over these things real quick. I'm sorry. You go over these things. I made the list. I put the list away. And when I was thinking of Clint Kubiak, I was thinking of his father. And his father was the head coach of the Broncos. And it's like, Seattle's a great story because offensively, they were not good last year. Now, you could blame some of that on Geno Smith, obviously, but there was a lot of things that they were just mixed up in. They get Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak's done a pretty good job of that offense, to say the least, and has made Sam Darnold pretty comfortable. We'll find out in the playoffs because obviously it's a different animal. But I accidentally wrote that he was the Broncos OC, and holy God, people started going nuts. I'm sorry, I was thinking of his dad for a second when I was writing his name.
Clay Kubiak? We talked about the Shulas yesterday.
What about damn it, I don't even remember. I didn't write Clay Kubiak. Well, we got to figure out which father is which of the of Chris Shula. Now, which Kubiak is which Kubiak?
Gary is his dad as well.
Yes.
The same Gary?
The same Gary.
Big Gare.
Yeah. Big Gare Kubiak.
The new Big Gare.
Yeah. Which, again, if their dad is a former NFL coach, I don't know how... This is tough. This is just tough. I don't know how excited they're going to be to do it. And this is where it's just nuts.
Well, think about, though, not as many openings right now. We've got 6. We have 6 openings. It looks like Miami, Cincinnati.
Oh, they're going to let Mike McDaniel helped find the new GM.
So he's not going anywhere.
More power.
Yeah, they did. Well, they went 5-2 to end the season or something like that.
Clearly, Chris Greer was the problem.
So not as many openings yet. Now, which playoff teams could there be openings with if things don't go right? What if Buffalo were to lose? What if
they lost early? I mean, if they lost in the Super Bowl, I think in the AFC Championship game, I think he'd be fine.
Yeah. But what if the Steelers get blown out against Houston this week at home?
I don't think he'll be fine. I know, but I think he'll be fine. I understand what you're saying, but I think he'll be fine. Absolutely fine.
I kind of feel like that.
I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. I'm not going to say something pony stupid of what I would do, but I would just be gobsmacked if they actually fired him after a bad playoff loss. That family's different. I mean, you hear the Rooneys when they do their postseason stuff, and boy, you think that Kevin's dry. Holy wah. You ought to hear him.
We still don't know about Baltimore and John Harbaugh. Was anything definitive?
Well, Lamar wouldn't even talk about his future after the game on Sunday, but of course that was after a bad loss on Sunday, so maybe he was just
emotional. And there's speculation about
it.
where he could be going. Absolutely.
About John or Lamar?
About Lamar.
Oh, well, I made a joke. I said, if you guys think he's overrated, then you should prove he's overrated and trade him to another team in the division, and then in return eat up salary of one of their quarterbacks. We can send him right on over here, buddy.
What does that do for them, though?
I don't care. If you guys think he's that overrated.
They need to get something out of that deal.
Yeah. Well, you can wish in one hand, and, well, you know how I say the rest. See, this is my issue with all this. How many fans have a lot of faith that Andrew Berry he's spearheading this, right? How many fans think that Andrew Berry is going to make a strong hire?
Well, he hasn't done this before, right? The last time around, it was Stfansky was hired first, and JW ran the search. So he's doing something he's never done before.
JW?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A big part of it, yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
But look, it's hiring a coach.
He said it was going to be full collaborative yesterday, so I imagine that
there's
the ownership group and like Glenn Cook and Catherine Hickman is going to be in it as well, right?
I don't know if they specifically outlined anything other than it was going to be Andrew Berry and they were going to start search yesterday. Okay. I'm sure all these things need to be taken up the proverbial flagpole.
All right.
Love a good flagpole.
But let me
corporate speak.
Let me illustrate this for you. Most fans don't trust Andrew Berry to make this hire, you would say, right now, right? Okay. If they don't trust him, but you don't want the owner to get involved, what are you going to do? So now you probably, if you're at home, you do want the owner to get involved. You
almost wonder, do they want to go back to the old search firm ways? The old Corn
Ferry. Don't take me back to the Corn Ferry days, please. Please. I'd rather do it like America's Got Talent with head coaches and just put the thing on TV.
Let us vote?
Then go the thing. Oh, God, those were terrible days. I'd still rather have Corn Ferry than Joe Banner, but those were still rough days that I don't want back.
Yeah, in the end, the difference between Andrew Berry doing this and JW doing this, or Jimmy Haslam really leading the charge, the difference is, and what this could welcome is making sure that you bring in a pool of candidates that don't threaten you and your job. That's the difference. Like, JW's not going to be threatened. It's his team. It's going to be his team. It's right now his father-in-law's. There's nothing to be threatened by. Like, you get to control that.
Yeah.
But Andrew Berry, what is the likelihood that he brings in such a strong candidate that would...
That's my major issue, man.
Put his future at risk.
I know we were on right when it happened, and so there's a curse about being on right when it happens, is that you spend the rest of the day, because we basically immediately had to end the show right after and Baskin and Phelps took over, is that you don't get out what you really think and get people to understand. I'm going to save this for 620 because there's something going on right now that I can understand some of the fans' frustration. I really can. But I think I'm being pigeonholed into an opinion that I don't want to have about Andrew Berry. However, you were reading a Connor Orr piece. What are some of the names, or are you hearing crazy names that are being thrown out there?
Well, Connor, he does podcasts, Monday Morning Quarterback with Albert Breer.
Who'll be on today.
He'll be on today, so you get all the latest. There's so much news going on that stuff can get outdated quick, so it's great. Breer's going to be coming on with
he's great.
Nick and Jonathan later today. This is
going to be must listen today, I'll tell you that right now.
But he said around the league there's the thought that, all right, they could just elevate Jim Schwarz. That's one plan of attack. The other is, young, up-and-coming, offensive mind, maybe even Ivy ties, one of those situations. You know exactly how fans are going to feel about that.
Going to go over well in the 537, but all right.
But the other one is that basically around the league, there is some thought that the outside-the-box hire could be Cleveland.
Okay, what is it?
And then that opens up every name you've ever heard in NFL history or college football history. That's what's fun. I mean,
Dead
honestly,
or alive?
right?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Like, these are the fun ones. The fun ones for Sports Talk Radio. The worst ones for Sports Talk Radio that might actually end up being the best hire could be that young 35-year-old.
It was Kevin.
It
was Kevin 6 years ago.
Well,
yeah.
that's what a lot of people. The
it
big
was the
takeaway.
guy who stonewalls you every time in the press conference.
That was one of the
big
big takeaways from yesterday.
Yeah.
Everything they outlined from Andrew Berry to Kevin to Jimmy Haslam was, who's the best candidate? Oh, it's Kevin Stfansky, who is right now immediately.
That was great.
According to what? Diana Rossini, immediately all the three other jobs he's going to be interviewing for.
Let me tell you why this guy's the best head coach and is one of the best candidates out there. Yeah, but you just let him go. Yeah, I understand that, but let me tell you why he's so great.
Can even live in his house in Rocky River.
Okay, that's fantastic.
So the big outside the box hires, we just go, this is us now. This isn't Connor or whatever. Let's just be honest. It's John Gruden. We got a call yesterday. John Gruden.
Can we go nuts?
It's Bill Belichick.
No, the John Gruden
Nick
guy said he
Saban.
was okay. Let's go piece by piece here. Hold on. What do you got? Are you?
Well,
you
I'm
want to
just
power
going to
rank it?
have you power rank.
yeah.
Rank those
Hell
big
yeah.
outside the box nuts coaching candidates.
Condoleezza Rice's. That was last hiring
Number
cycle.
Number one. That was before Freddie.
Oh, that was before Freddie. Oh, that's three hiring
that
cycles.
was before that. All right, you ready? Number one, Saban. 100% Saban. Saban. Number two, I said it 3 times, but he's only number one.
Well,
number
now he's
two,
in my mirror.
Number two, it's got to be Chucky Gruden, doesn't it? Number 3, Kurt Signetti.
Well, Signetti was the one, right?
So, I didn't mean to.
No, it's
okay,
good.
I'm sorry.
I think we were thinking along the same lines, because if you want to talk leader, culture guy, what he's doing at Indiana.
Well, you Google him and he wins.
We made fun of that how many years ago, and now it's like, yeah, that was smart what they did.
Absolutely on the Raider, they've got that Raiders radio station in Vegas, right? That's the thing. They have the number 1 pick. They have a coaching opening.
Yes.
They can get Mendoza and Signetti together. That's going to be the driver for a week.
That is.
Right?
So
I'm sure that is.
It's an unbelievable thought.
Now, I don't think there's a chance in hell.
$15 million buyout, by the way.
Well, okay.
In addition to he's making 11 now, he's already going to be making more next year with Indiana.
Well, that's the fun thing about being an NFL franchise is you don't have to go ask any board of regents. Jimmy goes, "What's the money? Okay, here's the money. Here you go. My team's worth how much? I'm worth how much? Here's money. Here you go. Here's your money." They don't care about that. Money's never stood in the way of the Browns on doing anything that they really want to do. It's only the person's decision. I think Kurt Signetti's looking at it. I'm serious. You win a national championship with Indiana here in the next couple of weeks. It's easier said than done, which, by the way, makes the Big Ten look amazing. But if you win a national championship in the next couple of weeks, I mean, you're looking at this as you are one of the gods of college football, and you're set to make $11 million. You're going to leave that to go to the Cleveland Browns, which is a tenuous situation.
This guy went to Indiana.
I get that, but that was up from JMU. JMU's a fine program, but this was still a major step up to a Big Ten program. He's changed it. It's still the NFL. Like, he could go out and just go, Fernando Mendoza, do you want money? Yes. You can't just do that in the NFL. You have more restrictions in the NFL than he would have in college. Regardless, do you find it actually realistic at all? I don't.
Honestly,
I don't.
If you're saying because he wouldn't want it.
If he only cares about money after this week or after these couple of weeks, what's January 19th, right? If he only cares about money, then he'd be over here on the first thing smoking. Because they'll pay him a ton of, they pay him $20 million if you really wanted him that bad.
When I think about, like, here's my kind of outside the box thought.
I'll spend the Browns' money
about Signetti is that he has such a mentality that we always make fun of the athletes that just they build their own bulletin board material, and he's out to prove. Like, he sat there and kind of lingered on Nick Saban's staff, and he's thinking, why is nobody calling? With everybody else, what? I'm too old. So the next installment of that me against the world thing would be, okay, I got to make up for lost time.
You're going to play his own ego
and
against
now
him.
I got to go to the NFL. I've got to do something that Nick Saban couldn't do, which was win it all in college and then take over one of the downtrodden, laughingstock football teams in the world, the Cleveland Browns. He's from Pittsburgh, okay? Went to school at West Virginia. He understands where the Browns are. And when he was young, what were the Browns? I mean,
Browns are good.
Yes.
When he's 64 years old, that would have been in this 70s.
He was born in 61.
They weren't that great.
He knows all.
80s, they were good.
He knows all about the Cleveland Browns and greatness. And hey, Nick Saban coached in Cleveland as a coordinator. Why not? You're right. Yeah, use his own ego against him and say, I bet people think you couldn't do this in the NFL.
You got to do this with heart. Kurt Signetti, you don't sound like you believe it. That's my issue here. You don't sound like you believe what you're saying.
He would entertain it.
I think you're just thinking like, oh, okay, it's a crazy idea because it's like, all right, Belichick, boy, that'd be something. I don't think any of these things are real. I mean, Nick Saban, last time I saw him was on a desk, and before that, he was blowing up birthday candles on his birthday cake, sitting in a recliner, and he was covered up by a blanket, for crying out loud. I mean, I don't think that Nick Saban's returning to the ranks of coaching. But if you're going to do this and, to me, quote unquote, waste time with Kurt Signetti, you're going to have to make a hell of an argument. I need more passion out of you. Because you make a good argument about playing on his own ego and winning in a place where you haven't won a lot. You've already done it before at Indiana. But I need more out of you. I need to believe you because I don't believe you.
I don't think anything needs to be said more than he just did what he did at Indiana or is in the process of doing it while Ohio State, Michigan, USC came into the conference. Penn State was there. Their coach is gone. And now you're going toe-to-toe with the behemoths of college football. And there are people that wonder, is Kurt Signetti the best coach in college football today? He might have already just pulled off the best job in recent coaching history. Maybe you can even go further back. Okay, what's the next challenge in front of him? The Browns. The Cleveland Browns. If he can do that, you can go ahead and cement it. That dude has just done the best coaching job over the course of 5 years in any level of football or any level of sports.
Oh, it's intriguing. I'll give you that. I'm not going to let myself believe it. I don't think on earth that you would find yourself in a situation where you're going to go, I'm going to leave a place where they could have a statue up of him by next fall. And you're going to leave that to go coach the Browns? And have all these restrictions that you don't have in Indiana right now? You're 64?
Mm-hmm. He's running out of time.
He's a young 64.
He's running out of time to prove anything more.
All right. Well, we've only just begun. Coming up next, making sense of the senseless when it comes to yesterday. There's an argument that I think we're having that we're on two different pages right now. Let me explain in 5 on The Fan.
The following is a test.
tough day for the organization. It's a tough day for me personally, largely because of the relationship, both professional and personal, built with Kevin over the past 6 years. I think many of you have heard me say that Kevin's like family. There really isn't a better person. He's the best of us. We all owe him a debt of gratitude and appreciation for a level of success that he brought the organization that really hadn't been achieved since 2002. And that's something that we'll always remember.
There's something here that was frustrating about it when, we never get breaking news because it's the morning, and when we do, we love it. But this was the bastard of it yesterday, is it happened at 9. I mean, we pontificated, speculated so many things
we
beforehand.
Also knew he was getting fired.
Yeah, but...
Or knew it was a parting of ways.
Because, again, I don't often see a coach put a statement with the official team statement when he gets let go. So I felt that no party involved really wanted to be with each other anymore. But, if you're Kevin Stfansky, you can't resign because you still have a payout that's coming to you. I don't know how long what he had left on his contract, but there's still a payout that you're going to get until you're employed again, which could be this
week.
Like the end of the week by all intents and purposes for a lot of folks out there. Anyway, but this is what got lost yesterday. And I got sucked into the vacuum myself, Anthony. I don't know how you're going to feel about this. I got sucked into the vacuum myself yesterday online, and I go, you got to step back for a second because it's getting mixed up. I am not. Yes, we are media guys who happen to like Kevin personally. Yes, that is true. And I know you guys are annoyed by that as Browns fans.
We went to the gala.
We've been to the gala. And he is a buddy. And as buddy as he's going to be as a head coach, right? I know that annoys a lot of Browns fans. And I know it's annoyed you for 6 years if you haven't liked him where, I got to couch it with, I like Kevin. I do. It sucks. It sucks to say these things. I feel the same way about Andrew. And my issue is that I think a lot of people are going, guys, he's the head coach of the football team. You guys are making him into a scapegoat. And go, no. He is the head coach of the football team. He's not a scapegoat. 8-26 is, as Jimmy Haslam said, unacceptable. You would get fired if you were Avon Lake's middle school head coach, Owen. If you were 8-26 over 2, you can't play that many games. But if you were 8-26, that gets you fired in youth football, let alone the NFL. It gets you canned. So them's the breaks. That's the way it goes. There's multiple reasons for it. I know he's a likable guy. He treats people as people. He's a nice enough person. I wish him all the best. But I'm not going to say, and I don't think you have made him out to be a scapegoat, have you?
No.
Okay.
I would have moved on from him, too.
There you go. You said you would have done it last year.
Probably last year.
So, and this is what gets mixed up, is that the voices all start to become a regurgitation because they just see one face saying the same thing in Cleveland media. This is the second part of it. Because you would have moved on from Kevin yesterday, or you would have moved on from Andrew, too, right? Yes. I myself would. And let me tell you the reason. It's not about zinging Andrew and the retribution that Andrew needs to get. Again, I like Andrew as a guy. He's done some good things. There's been a lot of failure. My issue, my biggest problem with this is that, we got a little bit of cap space. Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of holes. Oh, do we got a lot of holes? You got 10 picks. So he had an unrealistically good draft. Yes, last year. I mean, you hit a good draft is 25, 30% of your players. That's a really good, really, really, really good draft. He hit on that level. You're forcing him to basically do it again. And if he doesn't, and you finish with, how many wins do you think they're going to have off the top of your head?
I said
5-6.
Yeah.
If you think they're going to have 5-6, guess what's going to happen next year? And then guess what that also might mean for the head coach. So it might be even worse next year. That's my problem. That's the issue with this, is that if you turn in a 5-6 win season, now you've had something punitive. Now somebody has paid the fiddler for your fails. So if you've paid the fiddler, if one guy's done it for your failure, then another guy's going to have to do it next year if you turn in a likewise record of 5 or 6 wins.
And God forbid Myles Garrett has a hamstring injury.
Exactly,
that season would go south so fast.
That's my issue. It's not about, I'm mad because Kevin got fired and Andrew keeps his job. I like both guys, but I also think that If you're going to move on from one of them, you should have moved on from both of them because you're setting him up to have to do too much with too little time to achieve something that is any bit sustainable over the next year. So you could, if you really wanted to, just damn the torpedoes, rob Peter to pay Paul. I'm sure there's different things of cap space that we'll end up paying for in 4 years that you could try to hotshot this thing and get this thing to 8 or 9 wins to keep your position. But eventually we pay for all of it. And I don't think Andrew will do that because I don't think he's done things to protect his own job. I think he's actually tried to do things, albeit a lot of it has been a failure, tried to do things that are right for the franchise. But now I think you've put an unrealistic amount of pressure and put an unrealistic expectation on this guy in such a short amount of time. Next year, we'll be here like that, and we could be sitting here talking about all of it. So this whole list of coaches and all this other stuff, you could set it on fire or hold on to it for next year.
Yeah, I even saw people yesterday say, well, man, if they just would have had better special teams, they could have won 8 games, maybe even 9, and been there for the division. And to that I say, yeah, but they should have fired the special teams coach like 2 games into the season. So that, again, comes back on everybody, including Kevin, including Andrew Berry.
Yes.
And so at the end of it, by the way, I wanted to ask you, like, there was a little bit of a debate yesterday. I know, like, legally, for money purposes, financial purposes, like, nobody would just walk away from a job if they were owed, after the extension that he had gotten the year before.
Uh-huh.
Like, did Andrew Berry win a power struggle, or did everybody come to terms that it was the right time to walk away, where it could also benefit the Browns that if Kevin got another head coaching job, then they'd be relieved of any of the financial responsibility?
God, I'm going to sound like a politician when I answer this.
Like, did Kevin do them a favor? And did Kevin do Andrew Berry a favor? Like, hey, I'd like to kind of go interview for other jobs anyway. You guys get off the hook financially.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew, you get to keep your job.
Yeah, I think that's a good possibility. I do think that there were things that happened over the season that probably Kevin did not like whatsoever, like trading away Joe Flacco, and I want to know the truth about that, which we're not going to know because he's going to go be a head coach somewhere else, and he's not going to say any of those things.
I also think, man, the fact that Jimmy, and I'll give him credit for doing the press conference. I think all along we should have heard from, Andrew Berry. The fact that we didn't hear from him after the trade deadline was insane, and that didn't portend well on the future of everybody. But okay, you got a Jimmy press conference yesterday, and he took some questions. I think he should have taken more. I think it was a little abbreviated, but there could have been a little more honesty about again.
He did say the record was horrible.
Yes, the record was horrible. Sure. But his big case for Andrew Berry sticking around was Malik Collins and the Campbell trade, which was a good one, and the rookie class. Okay.
I think the kicker was mentioned.
The kicker was mentioned too,
which Zach was very quick to highlight. You signed Dustin Hopkins to an extension too.
Right. He gave the kicker credit for overcoming things too. So I don't even know if that's a GM thing. That might be just an individual thing. But it was just a very selective and odd press conference of things to warrant a GM of a failed team sticking around.
There's not much to say. He knows there's not much. He basically gave the good things about it. What am I supposed to go back? He could go back and try to say Amari Cooper. That was a great move, except now you have Jerry Jeudy here. And they got out of the Amari Cooper business at the right time.
They might not be able to get out of the Jerry Jeudy business.
But you're not going to get out of the Jerry Jeudy business. Now, if it was a new general manager and everybody, maybe you would. Maybe you'd just take that hit. But you're going to try to see this thing through.
You're not trading him for anything.
Tells me another thing about your quarterback situation we're going to talk about at 7 o'clock here, because he was very noncommittal about that, Andrew Berry was. So there was only so much he could say. So it didn't inspire a lot of confidence with Browns fans. And that's part of what I'm saying here, Anthony, is that it just feels like we're just waiting on the inevitable till January 2027 when we're sitting here talking about the same thing. Yesterday was not a good day. Yesterday was not an inspiring day. I saw like one person I'm friends with on social media acting like it was a celebration. I go, what are you celebrating? I'm sitting here, what are you celebrating?
Unless they thought Kevin was the problem. If you thought Kevin was the problem,
they better hope he's the problem. Because I think a lot of guys are going to come in here and they're going to see this and go, oh boy, we got a big build to go through. And it has to happen over more than just next year.
Your quarterback setup was Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
And then the two guys you drafted who right now, if you look at any statistical markers, they are at the bottom left. Bottom left's not good in any of the graphs. And I make charts for a living. That is something I've been known to do.
That's enough for that.
I had another 2 charts yesterday. I may even have even more
Just
today.
Just stop making them during the show.
At the chart factory.
Just stop making them during the show. Well, it's a bleep show at the bleep factory is what it really is.
Not for Chart Boy Tony.
No. That's a good one.
Did you see that last chart yesterday I put up?
It was terrible. It was terrible.
It was that the Shadore Sanders actually had the best protection of all 4 quarterbacks. The offensive line played better
That's another problem I have with you. That's another problem I have. You're bored by the Browns losing, so you just live to upset the trolls. Or you troll the trolls. Stop making charts during the damn show. We're on Coach Search Radio. Deal with it. You wanted it, you got it, everybody.
That's a good point. We need a chart about what time of the year it is. It's Coach Search Radio time.
It is Coach Search Radio time on the Fan. 216-474-0092. Well, do you believe that Andrew can overcome this, or are we even closer than we think? Because if you turn in another 5 or 6 win season, we're going to do this again next year. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
Anthony Lima for Van Scoy.
Don't let a leak sideline you. Family-owned Integrated Restoration is your best defense as your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. We provide fast, professional residential water restoration to get your home back in the game. Visit integratedrestoration.us.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Eight o'clock, John Greco going to join us on the show. 7:20, Jason Lloyd, Layson Joyd from The Athletic. And wasn't exactly a full-throated endorsement about who should be the quarterback in 26 by Andrew Berry yesterday. That's coming up at 7.
I was a little surprised.
That's coming up.
I know. I will get to that. Hey,
I was not,
did
actually.
Did you send your buddy Kev a nice message? Were you able to send a nice text?
Stfansky?
Yeah, Kevin.
Not yet.
Like, thanks for the invite to the gala that one time.
Well, it's been great working
Cool
with
seeing
you
ya.
on the foundation, and hope to catch up again. Best of luck. Tell your family I said hi.
Is that what you're going to say?
Anthony will beep his horn when he drives by your house.
I'm not going to text him. I'll text him.
I might have driven by last night. Just to see what's going on.
Odd. That wasn't weird.
Just to see what's going on.
And check in.
That's not weird at all.
It's on the way home.
I drove past your house last night just to make sure you were still there.
He's basically next door. It's a little closer to the lake than I am. We're
probably a lot closer.
We're half a mile away.
Oh.
He's a couple blocks.
Anyway, well, I will text him later this week.
Triangulate that point.
My issue is I don't want him to think that I'm just pumping him for information as a media dude.
Right. That's a hard thing always.
I hate that.
And so it leads,
God, I hate it.
Honestly, it leads me to underusing any time I have any kind of relationship or contact. I end up not using it because I'm like, well, other people would do it. And so now I don't want to be that guy. And then it's like, well, what was the point of having that relationship to begin with?
Yeah. I'm not a reporter. I'm not trying to pump you for information. I genuinely care and hope you do well in your next stop. I don't know if I want you doing better than us, but
oh boy, they can't root for him to.
Well, if you're saying 5 or 6 wins next year, it's going to be hard. Oh God, I didn't even think about that. I think they play the Giants next year.
Are we
NFC
NFC East next year?
Texans or the Titans next year, or the Falcons. I think it's the Falcons. I think they play both them teams next year. I'm not sure if it's home or away or whatever.
They keep expanding the schedule. We'll eventually play everybody every year.
216-474-0092. Do you think that Andrew could save himself here? Because I think the clock's now running on him. And if the clock's running on him and you're telling me 5-6 wins, and I think a lot of people on hold and a lot of people out listening agree with you, this is why I have a bad feeling. It's not about retribution. I don't hate Andrew because Kevin got fired. Not at all. Not at all. I just think that this is going to be prolonging the inevitable, and you've ripped off half the Band-Aid, and we're going to have to deal with this again. It's like putting off the surgery. Yeah, nobody wants to get surgery, but if you have to do it, you have to do it. And now we're going to put this off longer, and it just feels like, man, unless you do something that might be either A, desperate and ill-advised, or B, another miraculous draft, and these guys who are in their rookie year pan to year 2 and are good for you, that, man, do you hear it coming out of my mouth how little thought that I have that that's actually going to work? And so if I have that little a thought that it's actually going to work, okay, well, I'll just wait until next year, and now I feel bad about the possibilities of head coaches that we could have coming in here, because it could be a one-and-done thing. And if you have a one-and-done thing, then, yeah, you're going to first-year head coach land. You're going to second, third choice land. Guys that you really haven't talked about land. Back end of the odds emails that we get from, like, Jimmy Shapiro. I mean, you're looking at, what's the Browns? Robert Saleh's 5-1. I don't think Robert Saleh is a guy who I want helping build. I think he's already coached the Browns. That's a little joke. Mike McCarthy, I know, bowls of mashed potatoes. He's got a tremendous ego. He has been very successful in both places he's been to. But I don't know if he's going to like the power structure of coming in and that. Joe Brady, Bills fans hate him. I don't mind him whatsoever. Young, does need a good quarterback. And that's in the early stages of 5-7-1. But you're probably looking at, some of the names that are there. I like Lou Anarumo. Would Lou Anarumo get anybody hot and bothered?
I'm trying to think how many names would be out there.
Could you see him as a one and done guy? Greg Roman, would he get anybody? Matt Burke's a name that's been mentioned.
Dartmouth guy, Ivy League guy. The problem with this is, I think all the team's fans are basically going to be extremely underwhelmed by every interview they hear about. This won't be just unique to Cleveland, but I think our fans have been through this so many times. Now it has been 6 years, but these things do tend to set themselves up for fans hating the entire process and then the hire.
Yeah.
I mean, think about what you would have thought had you have hired Sean McVay at 28, 30 years old. What was he, 30 years old? Imagine what we would have thought. We would have thought clown show, total disaster. You just, in the end, you never know about these things.
I was intrigued, but I wanted to let somebody else do the experiment. And that first game when he's sitting on the equipment chest, I'm going, man, I know this guy comes from great lineage. This is really bizarre. When he was sitting on the equipment box while Wade Phillips was doing the defense in the game, I thought that was one of the wildest things I've ever seen in my life. Ended up at work. Now he's obviously the complete head coach, and he's a fantastic head coach.
I do think, Andrew Berry and coming from the world that he has been in and sitting in on interviews, I think the interview process will actually be very professional.
Yes.
I have no doubt that and again, but JW is probably going to be part of this, and he actually led a pretty good search last time around where they interviewed Robert Saleh.
I don't think that this is going to be some goofball show at all. That's not it. But you don't have faith in the fans. The fans don't have faith in Andrew Berry at all. And then when you say that he's leading the search, it doesn't inspire confidence with the fans.
Yeah, and there's nothing he can do that will.
And so now I'm sitting here with the thought of, okay, if you want to do your whole Sean McVay thing, he doesn't come with the same chutzpah whatsoever as in real life as Sean McVay did. But okay, you want to put Tommy Rees in there as head coach and keep Jim Schwarz as a coordinator, and Jim Schwarz just becomes the head coach of the defense, Wade Phillips style. You want to do something like that? Fine. I don't know if that's the greatest idea considering he's such a young guy. Do you want to do Jim Schwarz? Would he be fine with a one-and-done situation if this thing all goes to pot again next year? The defense certainly respects him. Myles Garrett loves him, for crying out loud. There's your number one guy. He's your team. He's the guy you based your whole team around. Yeah. Maybe Jim Schwarz is that guy. Instead of,
and there's no chance
headhunting for these big names. That's who you might be stuck with.
There's no chance. I haven't heard any speculation about this, and I haven't heard much about their relationship in general.
Yeah,
but there's no chance like Stfansky would steal Schwartz to go with him.
That's on Jim Schwarz. I don't know what his contract situation is, but that might be on Jim Schwarz. Of course,
the only thing we know is Barry did say yesterday, as of now, they plan on keeping everybody on the coaching staff. I mean, he said the new head coach will have say on who the coordinators are and all that.
I mean, depending on who it is. I mean, if it ends up being Tommy Rees, probably Tommy Rees is going to keep a lot of people. If it ends up being Jim Schwarz, maybe Jim keeps a lot of people. If it ends up being an outsider that has a name and recognition, if it becomes one of those left field, anything's on the table. They can bring in anybody, and a lot of people probably going to pack their bags. If they bring in a young first-year guy, you may be retaining some of that staff, especially if it's an offensive guy on your defense. Because I know, hey, Jim Schwarz, great coach. Jason Tarver, not a lot of people know his name right off the rip. But when it comes to linebacker coach, when it comes to defenses coach, one of the best in the business. One of the best in the business. Good man, great coach, the whole deal. And I'd be more than happy to keep the defensive staff. More than happy to do that.
Well, I guess that's the one thing that's been great.
And part of that is reactionary to the
single-handedly won the last 2 games of the year.
Yes, let me try to get to Andrew on the road here. Andrew, you're first up on the fan. Hello.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing wonderful, Andrew. Go right on ahead, friend.
So you want to fire Stfansky after winning 8 games in 2 years, whatever, that's fine. But what's the justification for keeping Barry? Because Haslam couldn't give one. He cited signing a kicker after extending another one, and then he cited signing a defensive tackle on free agency. And also, this guy spearheaded the Deshaun Watson trade, which sent us into a tailspin, and now he's going to spearhead the head coaching search, where we're going to get the 7th best guy, because nobody's going to want to work with this guy, because when it goes sour, they're going to get blamed. The Ivy League fold of nerds has infiltrated our organization, and you got to get them out of here.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much for the call. I feel bad that you got that angry at the end of that call, but there's not a lot he could have said, so that's what he had to say. I mean, he knows, and he knows if he goes, well, this last draft has been great, he's going to have to answer a million questions about the last 5 drafts before that. Which there's been some okay ones, but man, there's been some rough. There's been so many rough ones there. 216-474-0092. I want to try to get to some of you guys coming up here in 5 minutes. And the head coaching job is open. Did you hear Andrew yesterday, Tone? Sounds like the quarterback job is open, too, in 2026. That's in 5 on the Fan.
XTENDAV.com, Extend Technologies, where we're talking about the new frontier. In 2026, why would you want to be stuck with old technology, outdated, needs to be fixed all the time? And if you're thinking about renovating your home, or maybe you are building something new, you're going to want Tony Fabric and the whole crew at Extend Technologies in at the very first step. Once you do that, you are going to be set up. You're going to be the envy of your community. Your neighbors are going to come over all the time. It is going to be an awesome.
Listened every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
I would highly recommend Coach Schwarz for a head coaching job here. Coach Schwarz, he's a great coach. He's helped my game tremendously. Puts us in great position, great leader. I can't say enough great things about him. I sure hope not. I hope they don't get rid of my guy Schwarz, man. That's my guy. He's a great coach, and he's a great part of this foundation on this team, I feel like, and the coach that I feel is, could get us to where we want to go.
Well, Denzel, I know one way you don't get rid of Jim Schwarz. Make him the head coach. I've had worse ideas, and I will have far worse ideas in the future. Hey, if it's going to be a possibility of a one-and-done thing, you guys could do worse, and you probably will.
I got to say, though,
he's rocketing up my charts.
Yeah, honestly, me too.
Yeah, because you could end up with a total disaster. I mean, he could end up being the next Bill Belichick for all we know, the next guy. But
I'm concerned, Kenny, about who's the OC in that example.
Tommy Rees, what the hell?
And I just feel like Tommy has done nothing to prove.
But you don't like Tommy Rees.
Well, I just
There's a lot you don't like about that guy.
Well, it's one of those where this is probably how people feel about Kevin Stfansky, where the league's telling me that Kevin's great, but then I watch him every game. Well, the league's telling me that Tommy is great, and Nick Saban's vouching for him every day, and there's zero evidence. Had a chart yesterday to prove it. There's zero evidence to show that anything got better under his watch. And so maybe that's just, all right, bad situation, bad whatever. But I didn't think he was necessarily qualified to begin with. So not only was he not necessarily qualified to get this job that he got, when he took over the job, the results actually kind of got worse. Now, you could say, well, that's because he was given the 5th-round draft pick who was supposed to be a developmental quarterback in Shadore. Fine. That's something I've probably said, over the course of our show in the last 2 months. But that certainly doesn't mean on a resume that he can say, hey, this is what I did. I overcame this. You didn't. It got worse.
Well, speaking of Shadore, Andrew Berry answered questions about Shadore Sanders yesterday and about his progress, but how 2026, I don't know, listening to this, it seems to be that's a wide open position.
We saw a lot of progress with Shadore this year. I think that's both mentally, physically, playing the position. He's still very much a work in progress, like many rookie quarterbacks are. But I think we saw some really good things in terms of his playmaking, his accuracy, his ability to extend with his feet. And I think I'd also give him credit, as well as our offensive staff, for bringing him along in terms of his pocket management, his situational awareness, and things of that nature. Now, that all being said, we're going to do our work on the quarterback market. It's too important of a position, and it's something that has to be solidified. I can't sit here and tell you today, whether the solution or the starter in 2026 is internal or external, but it's something that we're going to work through, over the next several weeks. And quite honestly, the new head coach will also have a lot of input into that as well.
I told you this, damn it, and I think I'm going to end up being right about this, is that there's going to be a lot of conversation about that young man with all these new head coaches and possibility of head coaches and who's going to come in. And I said the best thing Shadore could have done was win a couple of games. Well, they still can Stfansky anyway, and I still thought that was probably your best opportunity to have him starting and everything safe in 2026 for all those folks out there. Now I think it's up in the air. Hearing that and saying, well, we're going to be very open to it. If you thought that strongly about him, you would just be that strong about him and say that we've got a lot of work to do, but he's coming along nicely, and we think that we're very confident in him going into 2026 as our starter. And they didn't. I mean, you could say that they don't really do that. No, Washington did that with Sam Howell once. Ended up not going well, but they did do it. So it's been done. And that was I think he was a 5th-round pick, too. Might have been a 6th-round pick. You can do that. It looks like the Colts may have to do that because of the Achilles injury that Daniel Jones is coming off of. Plus, he's a free agent. Riley Leonard didn't look too terrible. Maybe they go into him in 2026. Maybe they go with something else because it looks like Chris Ballard could be against him. But we're the Browns. We're not the Colts here. So now you have to open up all the options. Malik Willis, we got to have a conversation about him over the next 4 months. Obviously, Mac Jones, we got to have a conversation about him. Hate to say it, guys. Like, some of this stuff is going to be bottom of the barrel, old retread stuff. Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo. A couple of ones that I will probably just cast aside very quickly, but they're going to get brought up. Definitely also Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa. I don't think anything of those two guys, and I'd rather just go with Shadore. As of January 6th, I would still say my week 1 depth chart at quarterback is Shadore, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel. I think you can agree with that.
Yeah,
I think that because
I don't know what Deshaun
I'm
is.
Very interested to see what these coaches are going to think.
Yeah, look, this is the right move. I would say this is the first thing Andrew Berry's gotten right since the departure of Kevin Stfansky. It was non-committal to their quarterback situation, because the last thing any of you should want, unless you're just Shadore fans, the last thing any of you should want is to have some new coach tethered to the existing bad quarterback setup. It's the last thing any of you should want. You should want a new coaching candidates to come on in, share their perspective, because they're around the league. They've all looked at film. They've all seen the numbers. They've all seen the analytics. And they also know everything that led up to why in the world Deshaun fell all the way to the 5th round. And you should keep an open mind. Shadore, you should keep an open mind. And that includes, by the way, Shadore being able to compete for the job next year. I think that's totally fair. As I've said throughout, I would have needed to see so much more from Shadore to just gift him a starting job. And it wouldn't be a gift at that point. It would be he earned the starting job. He has not earned a starting job with no competition. I don't know how anybody could look
I agree with you.
at this situation honestly and say anything else.
Now, as they sit right now, if it stays this way, and it probably won't, I agree with you, but I think that Shadore's, to me, my clear-cut number one guy. Then it would be Deshaun Watson. I don't have very much interest in him.
In the room.
Of the guys that we have. It would be then Deshaun Watson, then it would be
Now, why
Dylan
is that?
Gabriel.
Because there are no numbers that support what you just said.
Because I do think that there's a ceiling there, and I'd like to see him with a full off season and a full camp. And if you wanted to bring competition, fine. Yes. Like the Dylan Gabriel stats have been thrown in my face a million times. Guys, I got nothing against Dylan Gabriel. If you wanted if you had Nick Chubb as the running back there, and you don't have Quinshon Judkins coming off an injury and things like that, yeah, Dylan Gabriel could hand the ball off. And you had the old offensive line, Dylan Gabriel could hand the ball off 40 times in a football game, and you could win it. But you have no threat to go down the field. Shadore actually does provide some sort of a threat to go down the field. If I can harness it, maybe I can get something out of it. Maybe I won't. Okay, that's fine. But that's what this year is going to be. It's another reason why I'm worried about Andrew Berry's future and worried about all of our fans' time and having it being wasted going into next year. But I've said that a million times already, and I'll say it a million times over. Going back to the quarterback situation, I'd like Shadore to be the number one guy going in, but I know it's not a guarantee, and I also know that you're just 1 year removed from letting him fall to you at the 5th round. Are the names that they're going to interview, are they pro Shadore? Because it seemed that they're going to be open, and if did he get a chance to show enough in the games from Vegas to Cincinnati that would change those guys' minds? Was he able to do it?
Well, I mean, I want everybody to have an open mind here. I'm telling you.
Are they going to have an open mind? Because the NFL is filled of a lot of preconceived notions.
Sure. But, hey, the coaches they're bringing in, they're not necessarily the guys that were making the decision to allow such a free fall and for him to drop despite having talent that we all agreed was way, way higher than 5th round pick. But why was he considered developmental? Why were some teams like he's not even on our draft board? Why did Kevin Stfansky, and we're going to have Jason Lloyd on, but he did the reporting that Kevin, the head coach, had said that he needed a redshirt year. Well, you saw it. You saw the decision making. You saw, 7 plays a game that were borderline disastrous. You can't play winning football in the NFL doing that if you're trying to realistically win and compete. So bring candidates in. You got to ask them, what do you think about the quarterbacks on the roster right now, including Deshaun? I mean, he's on the roster. He's got a lot of money still owed to him. You've got to ask. At the very least, you got to ask, and you got to keep an open mind about that.
And I think that they're going to be able to gather all that stuff, but I don't think that. I think you're right. They're not going to be tethered because of what their preconceived notion is.
Can't let this get in the way.
Shadore.
You can't let some fixation, which I don't even know that there is a fixation. Do we know that Andrew Berry's fixated on Shadore?
No.
He drafted him in the 5th round. He drafted another quarterback ahead of him.
Fixation.
The only reason Shadore took over when he did was because of the concussion.
Fixation is a strong word. I don't think really anybody in the building attached to the Cleveland Browns are fixated on him. I think that it's all there.
Maybe the sales department.
Maybe, but I think that honestly, he's done some good work. Shadore has. I think he's a good guy. I think that his teammates like him. But is that going to be enough to go? Here's 2026. It's not. It's not.
And they weren't
you're still
hoisting
going into next
Shadore
year,
up at the end of the game and at the end of the season. It was Myles Garrett, the kicker.
And you're not going to, if an opportunity presents itself to get much better at the position, they're not going to look the other way because they have Shadore, Deshaun, Dillon Gabriel. They're not going to do that. So I think this is something we have to be prepared for. I think that he fell to him. I think that they looked at 2025 as this whatever year they were going to make it. They decided to go with it because I don't think really going into that day on that Saturday, they really had plans to draft him. And then as time changes and things go on, and you know that this is a quarterback-obsessed football team, they decided to kick the tires on Shadore Sanders. And then I think there's definitely more to kick on the tires. But I don't think that they're going to go into it. And I think that a lot of coaches, you're going to hear some different coaches and their thoughts and different leaks coming out of what they think about Shadore Sanders. Then we'll find out just how fixated the organization is on him. Todd in Akron, you're first up on the Fan. Hello, Todd.
Hello, thank you for taking the call.
Glad to have you,
He's
Todd.
not a starting quarterback, and I totally agree that he should be given the chance to compete. Yes, I do. Yes.
Yes.
But he's not a starting quarterback, and most likely the coach that comes in is going to see that, and I won't be surprised if he go after
do we know for sure? Hold on, I'm not running you off, Todd. Do we know for sure he's not a starting quarterback yet? Has he been given the proper amount of opportunities to prove it?
No, he hasn't.
Okay.
Especially with the offensive line situation. He was put in a terrible situation to fail.
Yes. You know, he wanted to be in a situation where he played as soon as he possibly could, but in a situation like that, it's not going to be a good spot. And he wasn't put in a good spot. Now, they'll have a chance to augment this football team. And Todd, I agree with you. And thank you very much for the call. And I think that Tone agrees with you as well, is that, yeah, I think he's made some progress this year. There's definitely still some raw pieces to him that have to be smoothed over this time. I don't think you should just give up on him, and I disagree with the fans who say to just give up on him. I think that they've gotten hooked into the argument with those who might be a little overzealous about Shadore Sanders. I'm just looking at it what's best for the Browns, and I'm in no position to turn anybody who I think has any talent away. I guess I'll hold on to Dillon Gabriel. I clearly don't think very much of his future with the Cleveland Browns. Okay, fine. Deshaun Watson, I think I'm tethered to him just because of his contract. I don't think much of his future with the Cleveland Browns. So as of right now, I do think that Shadore has some talent. Is it going to be enough to dissuade them from anybody who might be called to them in 2026? No. I don't think that it's worth moving up in crazy numbers for the draft to go after the number 2 pick, because that's where I think the draft starts, because I don't even know if Dante Moore is coming out, and I don't even know if I like Dante Moore that much. So there's a lot of things that do work out in Shadore's favor here in terms of fate.
Yeah,
a
options.
lot of things.
Yeah, what are your options?
But the options that come out, if something crazy happens out there, are they going to turn their eye to that? No, absolutely not. They're going to look at all things, and that means that 2026, the head coaching spot is open, obviously, and I think the quarterback spot is open for this football team. 216-474-0092. Well, Jason Lloyd, he's from The Athletic. He's local. He's live. He joins us coming up in 5 to talk about all this on The Fan.
Anthony Lima.
season, the righty spent his time pitching in Japan. On the ice last night, Cleveland Monsters skate past Charlotte 3-1. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Kevin Stfansky's gone. What's next for the Browns? We bring on Jason Lloyd, no better source. And he's on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. Hello, Jason.
Hi, boys. Good morning. I have my daughter in my car, so be nice.
What does that got to do? Okay, so I can't call you the Culligan man now?
Say hi.
Hi.
Oh,
that's my daughter. She's my bodyguard.
What are you doing?
I'd like to get her thoughts on the state of affairs.
Yeah,
the
what did
coaching
she think?
search.
Yeah, what did she think about Kevin Stfansky getting fired?
What do you think about Kevin Stfansky getting fired? I don't even know if she knows who Kevin Stfansky is.
She doesn't know Uncle Kev?
She doesn't care about sports. Oh, would you shut up? She doesn't care about sports.
I got it.
Volleyball. She likes volleyball. Volleyball and swimming. That's it. So.
Is it a libero?
A what?
Libero? Laredo?
A libero?
Libero! That's what... Is it a liberan?
Outside hitter? She's an outside hitter.
There you go. Well, congratulations, young lady.
Congratulations on all your success.
So, Kevin's gone. I had an argument, but this is the problem yesterday. I got into an argument with people who go, wait a minute. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not mad. I don't think that Kevin's a scapegoat. 8-26 is 8-26. My issue isn't that Andrew got to keep his job and that's not fair. No, it's just I just have this bad feeling we're going to be doing all this all over again, and we could be doing wholesale changes, one and done, Rob Chudzinski land again.
Well, yeah, I wrote about that this morning. I think that if you're doing this with the general manager a year from now you're back into the misalignment. Well, he just hired the head coach, and now the new general manager is going to come in and want his head coach, and round we go. So yeah, there's a ton of pressure on Andrew to get this right and nail this draft. And listen, you can't run from Deshaun. He was the general manager of the worst trade in the history of professional sports, and you kept him, and you got rid of the guy who couldn't put out the fire. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around that. And we're on the same page in how Deshaun went down. You and I see it the same way in Lima too. About Jimmy was the only one at the end who wanted to guarantee the whole contract, but somebody had to come up with the idea. And so when you talk about accountability with the organization, well, you made the worst trade in the history of sports and you kept your job out of it, and the other guy got fired. So that's just hard for me to wrap my head around.
It does make me wonder, all right, he's kept his job through all this, and I know the press conference yesterday, they tried to get him to come up with reasons, and there wasn't very many reasons to hold on to Andrew, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, did Andrew say maybe he would talk to Baker about staying around or something like that, and it had gone too far? Whatever it was, that Andrew might still be here, because this is just so much. It's like, okay, yeah, he had a great last draft. I want to give him credit for April, but there's still so much you have to do in such a short amount of time to get this thing going in the right direction. I just don't think you're going to be given enough time.
I don't understand. I don't understand Jimmy, and I know there's a bold statement, but in March at the owners' meetings, he says, big swing and a miss. It's going to take time to dig out of that. And then 10 months later, you're saying you should have won more than 5 games. So which is it? Is it going to take a lot of time to dig out of this? Yes, that's true. It's going to take a lot of time to dig out of this. Or are these guys on the clock to win now? Those two things don't align to me. And that's where I guess the confusion is. No, you're right. 8 games isn't enough to win, or to keep your job. I've said for a year, you want to fire the guy, fire the guy. I'm not going to defend it. Or I'm not, you can't defend the record. But at the same time, I think you can look at the extenuating circumstances of the Deshaun trade and figure out pretty quickly why it went south as quickly as it did and as badly as it did. So is it a big hole you got to dig out of, or are they on the clock to win right now? Because those are complete polar opposites, and he said both within the last 10 months.
Jason, I've seen other people allude to this, but are they just looking to hire another Kevin Stfansky in this situation?
Well, we'll see who they hire. If they hire Clint Kubiak, that feels like another Kevin Stfansky. That feels like another Kevin Stfansky. I have no idea who they're looking at, who they're going to hire. I'm curious to see how this goes. This is probably Andrew's one shot at this, right? Like, I don't know if he's going to get another chance to hire head coach, certainly not here. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on that. You would think he's going to want a young, analytical mind, right? Like, that's just the trend in all of this. If I had to guess, they'd prefer offense to defense. That's strictly a guess, though, and most of the top candidates seem to be on the defensive side in this cycle. So I'm kind of fascinated to see how this goes and who they land on. But yeah, I would tend to think at this early stage, Andrew's going to want someone who sees it like he sees it, and that's going to be another young offensive analytical mind.
Well, Jason Lloyd joined us right now. One thing I am nervous about, it's kind of a combination thing, which is he going to be a little reluctant to hire a strong personality, because that could certainly make him perceived as weaker in the building, and we know how that kind of concludes in a lot of front offices, a lot of setups around the league. And is he going to have an open mind on the candidates that he interviews and their perspective about the current quarterback room?
Well, the second one is really fascinating to me. The first part of that, I mean, I think he will be. I think he'll be open to a strong personality. You kind of need a strong personality in that locker room, because it's not a team full of great veteran leadership. Like, let's be honest. It's part of the reason Kevin's not here anymore, is he's not a guy who's going to get in people's faces. And I think that's probably what this team needs. And plus, I mean, I don't know that Andrew needs, I mean, I'm not going to call this a power struggle. I don't think it was a power struggle, but one guy left and one guy stayed, and he's the guy who stayed. So he should feel pretty comfortable about where he's at right now, if that makes sense. But the quarterback thing, yeah, I mean, I've said all along, I think Shadore's presence will be a hindrance to some guy. Not somebody's going to take the job. They pay really well, and there's only 32 of the job. Somebody will take it. But there are candidates out there who will look at this and say, nope, I want nothing to do with that. How could you? Look at everything that Kevin went through over the last year with Shadore and some of the stupidity and nonsense that was out there. What coach would want to sign up for that? Particularly when he didn't play that well. He wasn't that good. Like, I've been pretty adamant. He shouldn't be on this team. Like, to me, Shadore should not be on this team next year. He's not good enough to be the starter, and this organization is not stable and mature enough to have him as a backup. They've proven that. So what, are you going to draft another quarterback and put him atop Shadore, and then all the stuff comes back again about, well, what about Shadore? When are you going to play Shadore? Like, no thanks, hard pass. And I just think a lot of coaches are going to view it that way.
I disagree, but because I wanted to ask you another question about Kevin, but now I got to go off on Shadore here for a second here. I think that's a little extreme. He shouldn't be on the team next year. You're not going to draft a quarterback in the first round next year. You're not in a position to.
I didn't say he shouldn't be in the NFL. He shouldn't be on this team.
I understand that.
Not mature. But look at everything they just went through, and for what? He's not that good.
What did they really go through?
Do we need to remind ourselves of all the locker room stuff, all the crap about the miming and the...
That's correct. Well, wait a minute.
What organization wants to put up with that?
You're breaking up for a second here. I think that was more media stuff. I don't think that there was actual problems in the locker room. I had a problem that Dylan Gabriel was there for obvious reasons, but I mean, look at it. I don't think that he was a problem in the building. I don't think that he was such a distraction in the building to everybody involved. I don't think they let it be that way.
All of that stuff infects into the walls. I'm not saying... The unfortunate part is I think he's a really good kid.
Sounds like it.
I think he's a really good young man. But it's just all the nonsense that comes with him. That's exactly why he's felt, Ken. You know that. This is why, because teams didn't want to deal with this. And we just saw it play out over the course of the last year.
Well, hey, listen,
and now you're going to sign up for more?
If he's not good enough to have media asking him questions after games that he didn't even play in, fine. But again, he can't help it that media is going to come up to him and ask him questions. I don't think he's pounding away at people going, hey, you want me to answer a question after a football game? I don't think he's doing that. So I'm not going to blame him for us being obsessed with him.
It doesn't matter whose fault it is. It doesn't matter that it's not his fault. It's still the reality of the situation.
Okay. Do you think that Kevin wanted to stay here?
I have no idea. I could totally see a scenario where he's like, yeah, I'm good. Send me on my way. Because again, last year was bad. This year was worse. And there's only so much you can take. So I can't sit here and say definitively he wanted out. I have no idea. But it wouldn't shock me at all if he sort of had enough.
I want to get back to Shadore just because we've got a lot of Shadore fans listening in, and they're going to want specifics. Anytime you bring up, the reason he fell in the draft, the problem that you think maybe he hasn't created, but what the people around him have created, what are those specifics? Because we've said on the show, I don't think it's been anywhere near the circus that I think we were led to believe that it could be. Yeah, there were some different moments, but a lot of young quarterbacks now coming up have people following them. They've had NIL deals in college. They have their fan bases. I didn't think it was that crazy this year. Did you think otherwise?
I thought it was pretty nuts until he took over, and then once he took over, it became pretty obvious why he wasn't playing before that. This is nothing new. I'm saying the same thing I've said before. He really struggled with coverages. He really struggled with protections. He really struggled to know when he was hot. This isn't new. He scored one touchdown in the last, 2 games? He scored one offensive touchdown. The turnovers were absurd. He didn't play well. And the metrics prove out that, not only was he bad, he was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL over the last 25 years, statistically. I just feel like I'm living in an alternate universe where people are like, oh, he didn't play that bad. He's pretty good. I'm like, are we watching the same game? He's terrible. Can he get better? Sure. Yeah, he can get better. Of course he can get better. I just don't have a lot of faith that this is the team. They haven't developed a quarterback in 25 years. You mean to tell me they're going to get this one right with this guy and with all of the noise and everything that comes around them? This is the one they're going to get right? I just have a really hard time believing that.
Well, if that's the case, Jason, obviously this quarterback room then seems pretty doomed unless you feel good about Bailey Zappi, who actually has better numbers than Shadore does in his early career. So what would you say would be a plan of attack that if a coaching candidate came in at QB, because they're going to be pressed on this by Andrew Berry and maybe JW or who else, eventually
absolutely
they're going to have to co-sign on that. What would be a plan of attack that could get a coach hired?
Well, it has to be a coach. If they're committed to having Shadore in the building, which it sounds like they are, it's got to be a coach that's comfortable with that. Who either thinks they can work with that. And
you picked that up yesterday. I'm sorry, Jason. I don't mean to cut you off, but I didn't pick that up at all yesterday. That they're committed to keeping him in the building. I disagree. If they were to just cut, no, I don't. I don't think they should just cut him because I don't think that they have very many other good options. So I'm willing to let him take a whirl at it. To be honest with you, because I'm kind of old Mother Hubbard at the position right now. So and I don't want. Do I want to move up for Dante Moore if he decides to come out? No. Do I want to force the issue with some other guy in the first round who will probably move up because we have a dearth of quarterbacks? Hell no, I don't want to do that. If I'm going to do it, I want to get it right. So I guess I'll let him have a whack at it again next year.
But the coach has to. These are the conversations that you're going to have with prospective coaches. How do you feel about Shadore? And the opinions on that are going to vary. And if Andrew Berry is committed to having him in the building, he's going to have to find a coach who's comfortable with Shadore being in the building. If they're open to the idea of him not being here, then that's a different conversation. And I don't know which way they're leaning on that, quite frankly. But no, how could you look at this quarterback room now and feel good about it? Deshaun was horrible before he tore his Achilles. Shadore didn't play all that great this year. And you guys don't get, the quarterback room is there a worse one in the NFL right now, honestly?
No.
So what are we talking about here? What are we doing? Jimmy's talking about we're going to win.
If I'm worse,
that might be Dylan Gabriel.
The quarterback.
That's that's the whole thing about it. That's why I can't believe that you don't get rid of both when you get rid of one. Because if you win 6 games next year, we're going to do the whole thing over again.
I just said that.
Well, I said that to you at the beginning of the interview. At the beginning of the interview.
I just said that I would not have him back in the building, and now it's like you're agreeing with me and you were arguing with me earlier.
Because I just don't see the point of. Listen, I'm a fan. I'm a general manager for the rest of my life, right? So I just want to see somebody who I might have some interest in, and it ain't Deshaun Watson and it ain't Dylan Gabriel. I have more interest in Shadore Sanders. If you want to bring in Malik Willis or you want to bring in Mac Jones, let's have a conversation. Okay? But some of the other ones, it's like, I don't want to even bother with that because I know I'm just setting myself up for failure, and then I'm kicking the can down the road. Like, I look at a J.J. McCarthy situation. You know how much I'd hate for that situation with the Cleveland Browns right now? Because it's too early for them to give up on him. But every time he sucks, he gets hurt, and every time he gets hurt, he sucks. So I don't want a piece of a J.J. McCarthy type scenario going into this year.
Oh, and let me be like, if you're telling me my options right now for starting quarterback for the Browns next year are Shadore or Deshaun, and I have to pick one, it's Shadore every time. Every time. Deshaun should not be here either. He should have been cut. Like,
well, now you got $46 million you have to answer to, or however many. The number grows every time.
It doesn't matter. When you identify a mistake, you get off of the mistake as fast as possible. And they haven't done that. They just keep stringing this out and kicking the can down the road. And I just don't understand how they've handled any of this. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But if you don't believe Shadore is the long-term answer, and again, this goes back to what Jimmy was saying yesterday. We're going to win. We want to win. Da-da-da. Okay, well, who's the quarterback? And then you're just going to keep winning just enough games that you are now not in position to get a quarterback in the draft. Like, had they lost those last two games, they'd have the number one pick, and this conversation would be over. But they won those last two games, and now they're at 6, and now we're having the conversation of, well, what do you do, and where do you go, and now are you looking at the 27 draft? And it just goes, and it makes my head hurt. And it just goes on and on and on, because until they figure out that position, nothing else we're talking about matters.
Notice the gloves came off the minute his daughter left the door and slammed.
Yeah, no kidding.
Slammed the car door.
I noticed that too. Your daughter left to go to school, and all of a sudden it's tough talking Jason Lloyd.
One final note.
It was smooth daddy-o before.
Would you support Jim Schwarz? And if not, is there an outside-the-box hire that, if the Haslams went back to their old ways, you might be interested in?
I would support Schwartz. I would like it to see somebody who's already had the job once. I'm kind of tired of the rookie head coach who
the Browns job once. You want to bring back Eric Mangini? Interesting.
Would you stop? I just think guys who have had one go of it and who had an opportunity to learn from their mistakes, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I know retread is like a bad word, but I don't know. I've kind of liked the opportunity of, wow, I did that once. It didn't really go that well. I learned that from it. Now let's have a chance to change it again. I heard you guys earlier talking about Signetti. I got to tell you, Signetti feels like John Beilein to me. It just feels like John Beilein. And
What?
Why is that such a what?
On what planet?
Hey, last time I Googled John Beilein, there was some terminology I wasn't really comfortable with. That's not the case with Curt Signetti.
They are the same age, roughly. They are lifetime college coaches who have had quite a bit of success. Beilein was a pretty good coach at Michigan. I don't know if you remember that or not. He's really good at Michigan. West Virginia and then Michigan. Had to scratch the itch of trying to do it in the pros, and it did not go so well. So, I don't know. Signetti feels like another Beilein to me.
I don't see that at all. I just don't
see it. How do you not? He's a lifetime college coach.
So? I just started laughing. They're older guys that happen to be lifetime college coaches. I mean, John Beilein, you'd think that he would be as much of a disaster as John Beilein was?
Well, we didn't think John Beilein was going to be a disaster.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you absolutely did. Don't lie to yourself.
Paul Brown was a lifetime high school and college coach.
Yeah, there you go.
Came to the NFL.
Yeah, you guys showed Mike Pett in the door.
Boom.
Could have been our version of Paul Brown here. Still out there.
Are we done here?
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, we were done 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, when that door shut.
Yeah.
Love you. Yeah, love you. Going through the motions. My God.
I love you, dear. That turns around. You bastards! Let me tell you something about Shadore Sanders. Boy,
I think that was more just the timing of the conversation than who was in the car.
Oh, is that it? So you would have said that while she was in the car, all that nasty stuff you just yelled at us.
What did I say? What did I yell that was so nasty?
Oh, you go back and listen to this interview. Phones are ringing off the hook. They're out for blood now with you. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you right now, buddy.
I don't care.
Yes, you. No, you don't.
No,
he does.
I don't care.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye, boys.
Bye. Jason Lloyd on the Make It Right, call Kyle Wright hotline. Strong stuff. We don't go back to back, belly to belly. We got John Greco coming up at 8 o'clock. Apparently, we do have a scapegoat after all. After talking to Jason, Ken Carman, Tonemaster General. We're back in about 5 on the Fan.
especially when he didn't play that well. He wasn't that good. Like, I've been pretty adamant. He shouldn't be on this team. Like, to me, Shadore should not be on this team next year. He's not good enough to be the starter, and this organization is not stable and mature enough to have him as a backup. They've proven that. So what, are you going to draft another quarterback and put him atop Shadore, and then all the stuff comes back again about, well, what about Shadore? When are you going to play Shadore? Like, no thanks, hard pass.
That's Jason Lloyd with us moments ago. You missed a moment of the show? Well, use the Rewind feature on the free Odyssey app powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. Got a text from our boss, said that he beat me up, and I'm looking at the internet. I'm sorry. It seems that it's a good thing the kiddos were out of the car because I beat up their father right in front of them in that argument.
Well, you're lucky that his son wasn't in there because he would have drove down there. Oh, my God.
His son...
He's a giant.
Hey, yeah, his son will blow our asses.
Yes.
He's got a teenage son that it's like a Vander Holyfield looking for Charlie Steiner. Like, come on, Tona, come out here and get your whooping. Like that guy, I don't mess with that guy. Cold piece of work. What are the social media reactions brought to you by?
Oh, they're brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Cold piece of work says to me that Jason Lloyd is a hater. He's talking out of his ass. I agree on both counts.
Well, I asked for specifics because
I think both of you have kind of been worked into a shoot by some of the folks on the internet here. I got to tell you. Now, listen, I don't think you guys think he's a good quarterback. Fair, fine, okay? I don't think he's the second coming either. I just told, let's have Deshaun Watson out there to start 2026. All right, come on over. Let's get ready for some Browns football.
I guess
no, man.
I guess my point,
neither him or Dylan Gabriel. I'd rather Shadore Sanders any day of the week. Hell, I'd rather. What's Sammy Baugh doing? Is he still with us?
My point about Shadore and anybody advocating for him to get the starting job with no competition, which I think is just ludicrous, and I don't think any coaching candidate would come in, and even if that got them the job, I don't think any coaching candidate would come in and say that. In fact, if they did, I'd be like, cross him off the list. There's no way he's just trying to butter us up for a job. But my whole thing is needs a much better offensive line. He was dealt a terrible hand there. He was dealt a terrible hand with the receiver room. Check. Every limitation. You can say the offensive coaching. Every single thing you want to say is 100% true, but none of those are reasons for giving a guy a job. Because I would say that about any quarterback the Browns would have had. If the Browns would have had Dylan Gabriel all year, I could have gone through the whole gamut. And I could have said, didn't have this. And then if there was a Dylan Gabriel fan base, which there doesn't seem to be, they could throw back in my face. But come on, he could get better. Yes, every quarterback in NFL history could theoretically get better.
Yeah.
The question is, on what time frame are we looking here? You've got Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. Okay, Denzel, I think next year turns 30, or is it a year and a half? Myles is already there. Okay, we know what happens with pass rushers, even as amazing as he looked this year. Things are going to slow down a bit over the next 5 years, certainly. So your peak, your window, if we're talking about serious competitiveness, you got to think about Myles. Do you want him to wait 3 years for development? No, nobody
Hey, man,
does.
I'm sorry, but I hate to be that way, and I think it's way more complex than this. It's like, hey, the contract's signed. It is what it is now.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
and I know what he said last week.
No, it's not about Myles. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, what's Myles going to think? I'm saying we have to take advantage of Myles freaking Garrett.
Yeah,
the guy has... I looked at this yesterday. Myles Garrett, we're talking about all his record-setting numbers. He has 1 playoff sack because he's only been in 3 playoff games. I don't want to waste this anymore, so I'm not waiting for a guy to develop over 4 years. We don't have that kind of time because by the time that guy develops, Myles is going to be on the downside.
I'm not advocating for that.
And so will Denzel Ward.
When did Sammy Baugh die, by the way?
2008.
Can we dig him up? Because I'd rather have him than the other two.
He would be 111 years old if he were still.
We still got some good years in there, I'm sure.
112 by the time the season starts.
I'm not. I mean, that's the new 100. The 112 is the new 40. I've gone full protectionist about this. He doesn't get 4 years. See, that's why I think you're arguing with a corner. To me, you're arguing with a corner of a fan base that I'll never be able to reach, and I don't really want to reach. I'm a Browns first person, no matter what. I want them to do well, and I've gone full protectionist now. I don't want them to do something in this coming draft that we can end up paying the fiddler for. Like, I am deathly afraid because we have so few quarterbacks that you know what's going to happen here over the next 4 months. Guys are going to start to throw, and they're going to look good in T-shirts and shorts, and all the theories are going to be out there, and I'm going to be sitting there pounding my head against the table. I'm not going down J.J. McCarthy alley. I don't want to do it. That is already that looks like a loser up there, and I don't want to deal with that. So I'm in protectionist mode. What's going to get me to 2027? If I can go get Fernando Mendoza, fine. If Dante Moore,
you just lost the last 2 games.
If Dante Moore, well, you can't now. So coulda, woulda, shoulda. If Dante Moore comes out, and you could talk me into Dante Moore maybe, which there is some good qualities to like about that young man. Fine, we'll talk about it. Other than that, my book is closed, man. It is closed. You want to talk Mac Jones? We'll talk Mac Jones. But do I have the wherewithal on picks? Because I know he's a cheap contract. Do I have the wherewithal on picks to give up for the guy? Do I really? I don't know if I do. Do I trust Andrew Berry with it? I don't think I do. So I'm in full protection. I don't mean to. I don't want to operate from fear, but I am in full protectionist mode to not make this any worse than anything we've already dealt with. Which is hard to say.
None of this is giving up, 3 number 1s, the number 3s, and guaranteeing money. I mean, we're just talking about throwing in another end of the first round, basically a second round pick. In a draft, I hate to say it, a lot of first round grades in this draft. Like this seems like
quarterbacks are all together.
All together. This does not seem.
Oh, wait a minute! I thought this was going to be a hell of a draft.
Yeah, I mean it's set every year, but I think last I checked, I think Daniel Jeremiah said there might be
16. I thought.
I thought it was less the last time that I heard. But either way, there's just not a ton.
I'll text him.
So giving up an end of the first round pick, if that got you to move up to get. I think that is worth a chance because what is the other side of this? The other side of this is just sticking with this quarterback room. And to me, Kenny, that just dooms everybody. If you are just going into the season and you're saying, this is my quarterback room, then the coach is likely going to be one and done. Your GM is going to be out. We're going to be going through all of this again at the end of the year.
Yeah, but that's what again, this is why I thought it was silly to not move on from both if you're going to move on from one. So you've stuck me with this. So yesterday, if there was any conversation about moving on, I might be more open-minded to a lot of different things. I'm not. I have to be closed-minded on this because I'm afraid you're going to make this far, far worse. Far, far worse. You think it's bad now? Oh, God. I don't want to deal with any of that. So, fine. I will sit there next year and I'll watch Shadore. And if Shadore does well, great. If he doesn't do well, okay, fine, whatever. That means we're moving on from another guy. Hopefully there's more rookies there that are okay. I'll probably get ready for another general manager change. Maybe I'll get ready for a head coaching change after that because if Andrew Berry's picking the head coach, well, you know how this all works out. And then I'll hope that they'll find themselves in a position to take a quarterback that can do a Andrew Luck, even though Andrew Luck had to retire early, or a Peyton Manning or something like this to make this thing such a fortress where they cannot get in their own way anymore. That's basically where I'm at right now. I mean, good God, you want to talk about pathetic. I was sitting there watching the one highlight video of the guy taking film in the end zone on his phone of Arch Manning running the touchdown, and I got all hot and bothered. That's where I'm at, and I can't do anything about that until next year. After this coming year, I should clarify. So that's, and I think a lot of Browns fans are with me. Like, you guys want to make a bunch of moves right now with what could end up being a lame duck season? We want to do this? I've been trying too long to fix problems created by this group. And instead, I need to be looking forward to what's right for the franchise. They've made their bed, and apparently we're going to spend another year laying in it. Coming up next, John Greco. Sorry, I know you had something to say. John Greco coming up in 5. I'll do that at 8:02 on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Van Scoy here earlier.
don't think he's the biggest problem. You're not alone in this. I see it everywhere. It feels like almost like everyone talked about it, everyone wanted it, and then when you actually got it, it's like, oh, poor Kev.
No, I don't think it's poor Kevin.
That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting right now. He deserved to have what happened.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
John Greco. He was at the game on Sunday down in Cincinnati.
Wow.
John Greco joins us right now live.
Congratulations on all your success.
On the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. Hello, John.
Guys, good morning.
Were Cincinnati fans really rejoicing in Myles Garrett's chance when he got the record? Were they happy? They witnessed history?
Anthony, it was hard to tell. I was kind of confused, obviously, because of the abundance of orange. But I think they were. And it was in between the boos, against what a lot of the things Cincinnati was doing. I did hear a lot of cheers, and I was like, oh, maybe a lot of Browns fans came down today to support and witness history. But I think a lot of the Bengals fans were a little bit happy about it as well.
Well, they get to see history. You were there in the game. When you were saying booze, I got confused with the other type of booze. I was like, well, John's a big guy, big boy, can handle himself. You know how it goes. So what, did you feel anything? Were you in the stadium still when he set the record? It was the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. I was there to, watch Joel and connect with a couple former teammates. And I hadn't had a chance to go to a lot of games this year, so this was kind of a type of thing where my schedule was a little bit cleared up. And, Cincinnati's 2 hours from Columbus. But, I stayed till the end, and it was very cool. We've all seen how quick Myles' get-off was. And, he was doing it all game. And, Joe Burrow and some of these veteran quarterbacks that he's faced the past few weeks, they're going to be, I think it's most impressive of how quickly they were getting rid of the ball consistently. And I don't think it was like, I don't want to be the guy that's going to give up the record and be a part of history in that sense. They're just trying to get the ball out of their hands quickly, and they do that because they're good pros. But Joe Burrow was doing that the whole game, and Myles was beating the left tackle so bad. And we were joking watching the game. He would line up over the guards and wide three technique alignment, and there would be 5 down to where they were trying to get Myles one-on-one with one of the inside 3 guys. And I was just like, my God, what a nightmare scenario that would be, like if you were a guard and you were going into the game thinking, well, it's not going to be me. And then all of a sudden it's third and 8, and you have Myles staring at you one-on-one at guard. But, yeah, I was there. It was awesome to watch and see, and I thought it was a great celebration.
I want to ask you about Joel here in a little bit, but I got to get to Kevin Stfansky. Did you think he got a raw deal? Did you think it was time?
I think what happened was, you're right, wrong, or indifferent. I think what happened was the writing was on the wall, and so they had to do something. I think people would have been, I don't know, because you hear a lot of people say, we were comfortable with this draft and letting these 2 guys run it back, and kind of, I guess, let the previous seasons slide, given that Kevin was a 2-time coach of the year and had won a playoff game for the Browns and went to 2 playoff, had 2 playoff appearances. And I think everything that was leading up to this season, I think a lot of fans were willing to let that slide, but there was also a huge percentage of people that were like, I want them both gone. And you heard some of the comments yesterday on the reasoning of why they ended up letting him go, is the record and the way things were handled. So it's something, a change needed to happen. And I was on your show last week, and or you guys weren't around, but we were talking about how, to me, I think it's both or not, or neither. And I always thought it was tough because I've been in that situation where they would let go of the coach and retain the GM, And then the next year, we didn't have success. And then it was like, well, now we got to fire the GM. And then the coach, they're like, well, we might as well fire the head coach and bring in the new GM that wants to hire his head coach. And it's just kind of, fractured still. So I get why they retained Andrew in that sense. That way he could be a part of the new coach hiring. But if we're in this situation next year, guys, and it looks bad or it looks worse, then what? Does Andrew Berry get another pass because maybe he had a successful draft this year, or there's maybe one or two guys that are drafted next year that are great contributors, and do we just keep this endless cycle going? So that's my biggest fear. But unfortunately for Kevin Stfansky, I think the time had run out, and they just decided to move on. And sometimes breakups happen. And look, he can go to one of these other teams that he's rumored to have interest from and have success, but it just wasn't working out here, and they had to move on.
How desirable of a job is this?
That's a good question. I get why I get why the answer would be a horribly desired position. But if you are someone that's trying to break into the head coaching world and take an opportunity, and maybe some of the other openings aren't available, or some of these other scenarios aren't as attractive, I think a head coach is going to take a head coaching job no matter what. Now, Mike McCarthy, some of the names that are higher on the list that you like, hey, no, I want this guy. He's a proven winner. He's been to Super Bowls. He's won the division. He's got great history. Maybe they aren't going to have the Browns at the top of their list, and you have to meet somewhere in the middle. But I think a head coach is going to take a head coaching job no matter what it's at, because maybe they have egos, or maybe they have a drive to where they're like, no, look, I can make this work. I'm going to go in there. They have some great young talent on the team, a good defense, a solid defense, and a lot of draft capital going into 2026, 2027. So yeah, if I'm a head coach, I come in and say, hey, look, how much say do I have on this upcoming draft and free agency? What does that look like? And you get a sense from there. And if the answer is, yeah, we want you a part of the process, and who's going to be starting a quarterback next year, and you're going to have full kind of say to put your spin on this offense and what it looks like and what the team looks like as far as your, kind of character, or what kind of vibe and energy you want to bring to this team. Then yeah, any head coach is going to want to take it, but I just don't know if they'll get the top candidate on their list.
John Greco joining us here on the show. So what would you do with Shadore?
It's tough, guys. I've been supportive of him in his time as the starter, and there's obviously been ups and downs, and I don't think we're sitting here right now, first week of January, I'm ready to say he's the day one starter right out of the gate, no questions asked. I think he's earned the opportunity to at least, compete for that job. Do I think they're going to go quarterback in the first round? It's looking more and more unlikely now because of where they're at in the draft and how many teams in front of them need quarterbacks. So now you're looking at, at best the third best available quarterback, maybe, fourth. And then do they use some of these picks as leverage to trade up? I mean, would fans go crazy for that? I don't know. So I think Shadore has done enough to where he certainly deserves an opportunity to be the guy next year, but he has not done enough to where I'm ready to say, hey, look, yeah, you're the day one starter next year. And they wouldn't announce that. That would be crazy for them to say that now or even in the spring. I think it's going to be a lot of vague talk and open-ended talk and say, yeah, he's done well. He's progressed, like we had hoped a young quarterback would. Obviously, we fell short offensively. I think you're going to be hearing a lot of that kind of talk, but all of that can change, once the draft comes. We'll see what happens, but I think he certainly deserves an opportunity to compete for it.
The offensive line, by the way, at the end of the year, did you see anything different from the Browns, John? Because according to the numbers, Shadore actually had more time and better protection than previously.
Yeah. That's interesting. You said that. I didn't know those numbers, but there were so many kind of peaks and valleys in their play in the Shadore small microcosm of the season, to where there were games that they played really well and I thought protected, and it just seemed like I don't want to say that they were winning more one-on-one matchups, because that happens, but there are a lot of times where a guy can win his one-on-one matchup all across the front, and there's a free blitzer that maybe they didn't get themselves into the right protection. So it did seem like when they were organized, when they anticipated pressures and got into the right protection or maybe slide, that gave him extra time. And look, somebody's always going to get beat. They're human. And you had a lot of different guys in there, but I did think that they managed to put a couple solid games together up front to where they were better organized, better prepared, and they were able to react to what the defense was showing them. So yeah, I think that those numbers speak for themselves. And look, that's what young quarterbacks need. That's what every quarterback needs. So yeah, I was impressed with the way that some of those guys handled themselves, given that they were rotating, almost every game, and you had position kind of competitions at right guard and different guys in a tackle, and obviously injuries. So the fact that they were having to, plug and play and get guys ready each week, it was impressive to see them put together a string of good pass protection games.
John Greco joining us on the show. Now, you played with Joel Batonio. Joel Batonio yesterday got emotional when talking about his career. Seems that this is probably it for Joel. What have you thought of his career as a Cleveland Brown?
Well, I'm happy that he was able to go to the playoffs, because that's kind of, when you think of Browns players that are in this era of like newer Browns players, that was really the only thing that you wish that they had before a send-off. So I'm happy at least Joel got to experience that. But it's crazy. I was there when they drafted Joel out of Nevada, and day one when he got in, you were just like, this guy is going to be pretty much play as long as he wants, given that he can stay healthy and there's no crazy setbacks. You just saw it early. He got a chance to play next to a Hall of Famer in Joe Thomas, and a number of Pro Bowl centers, or a couple Pro Bowl centers, and Alex Mack and J.C. Treader, and always had kind of stability, which helped. But then he became the stability, and we saw him, achieve personal accolades with Pro Bowls, All Pro. He became kind of the spokesperson of the franchise, a fan favorite. And it'll be exciting. I kind of told him, I said, hey, I don't know what's going on, but you're always going to be a part of Cleveland, even if you're in California or Nevada or wherever the hell you're at. You will always be a part of this franchise, and I think that got him a little bit excited. But just a guy that always did the right thing, said the right thing, was involved in the community, and he and his family, did a great job.
Is there any chance he comes back?
Yeah, there's always, if he's staring at one of those big Publishers Clearinghouse checks with, I don't know what the number.
Well, those won't cash anymore, John. Those aren't good.
Those are done.
Yeah.
I don't know what the number is, but I think everybody's got a price. And Joel is such a competitive guy that, like, certain players, for me, I'm done. It's not life-changing money, and Joel's made so much over his career, and he's made the playoffs. So for him, it's going to be about the love of the game. Like, when if he decides, yeah, I'm done, and then he sits out of the preseason and he's like, oh God, I just missed this so much. I want to come back. I think that'll be when he's really sitting down thinking about it, because unless someone dangles a ridiculous amount of money in front of him, I don't think that matters anymore. But I think it's going to be more about, man, my body, can I talk with the team and have them do enough to where I'm protected, but I'm still getting ready for the game. I don't know, guys. I'm up in the air about it. Either way, he doesn't owe anyone anything. He's left it all out there on the field, and fans should be happy that they got to see him progress the way he did, and it was fun to watch. But I'm not ready to call it quits for him. I'm still holding out hope.
Sensational as always, John. We thank you so much for the time, my friend. All the very best.
Guys, thank you.
John Greco on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. Former Browns guard, current Browns analyst joining us today. Yeah, we talked on Sunday when he was on his way to the game on the University Hospitals Browns Radio Network, and then, of course, your flagship home for Cleveland Browns football, 92.3 The Fan. And, of course, the talk about Joel Batonio, fantastic. Joel's one of the greats. I do think had they had been a more successful team, I think he'd get consideration for the Hall of Fame. But sadly, I don't know if that's going to happen because they were not a successful enough franchise during his tenure. But still one of the all-time pros. And if this is it, he's definitely going to be missed whenever we have to go in the locker room. Speaking of, never has there been a bigger difference between our reality and the Browns players' reality. Let me explain that coming up at 8:24 on The Fan. Peter and Company Jewelers in Avon Lake.
I think it's both or not or neither. And I always thought it was tough because I've been in that situation where they would let go of the coach and retain the GM, and then the next year, we didn't have success, and then it was like, well, now we got to fire the GM, and then the coach, they're like, well, we might as well fire the head coach and bring in the new GM that wants to hire his head coach, and it's just kind of, fractured still.
It's John Greco with us just moments ago. He was on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. Big thanks to John joining us all year long. Some Mondays or Tuesdays have been more fun than some of the other ones. Which I hate to bring up old stuff. I wanted to ask John about this. You see, this is my issue here. I listen, I do like you and I like Jason. Obviously, I wouldn't have been that vociferous in arguments if I didn't get along with you guys, sad to say. But I think you guys are both dead wrong about the distraction. I think that he causes a distraction amongst us. I think he causes a distraction amongst the fans. I don't think, and I go into the building, and I know Jason does too, but I go into the building, and damn it, I don't think that he causes a distraction in the locker room. I don't think he causes a distraction with the team. And I don't think that he is such an albatross around this team or a detriment. I don't want to keep overusing the term albatross. Such a detriment to the team that they can't have him on the roster next year.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
I love Jason.
I haven't seen that.
And I don't mean to take shots at him when he's not on the air, but I think that thought's completely asinine. Now, if the next head coach comes in and goes, this kid ain't going to work, okay, fine. Go ahead and do that. I'm just looking at what I have now because I have very little trust in the people picking the head coach. I got very little trust in what they're going to do in the upcoming draft. I have zero trust. If Dante Moore doesn't come out, I have zero trust of any other quarterback. Ty Simpson, you kidding? No, absolutely not. I'm not doing that thing again. So now I'll sit there and go, okay, well, I got to make the best of a bad situation. Guys, not a great situation. Statistically, yeah, the stats, they bear out he's bad. I can't run away from that. I can't run in the first place.
He's got the arm talent of a better pick, but he's played like a fifth round or worse pick.
I'm advocating for him to be here next year, and as of right now, to start next year, because he's the only one I think there's plenty of other players I'd like to see. He's the only one in the quarterback room I'm interested in seeing at all, and that I have any hope at all that he's going to be okay for this football team's future. And there's probably not a lot there, and that's not the most ringing endorsement I've ever given a quarterback, for crying out loud. But that's where I'm at right now.
But you know how it is,
I just don't want him to mess it up.
The minute that you play in this league and don't play well, that automatically causes you to be a worse option for many than the undrafted guy, the guy that hasn't been drafted yet.
I understand that.
Because they have limitless potential. They haven't demonstrated the flaws in the NFL yet. And so that's always why people are eager to go back into the draft and then mold them in the way that they want to mold them. And, Shadore now, he fell to the fifth round. You saw a lot of the same stuff with the Browns that you saw in college. Was there some development? Yeah, I think so.
I thought he made
Coach Lance says the footwork continued to get better throughout the season. I know he fell down a couple times in the last game, turning around. He's still not comfortable doing that. He clearly is not comfortable turning his back to the defense yet, and being able to read all that stuff. Nor is any rookie. All rookies struggle with that stuff early on. Baker Mayfield struggled with that stuff early on.
What I'm hating the most is that I think so much that this is a fight that people are having online when I think if I'm just talking to actual Browns fans who are driving up 77 right now going to work, I think they're looking at it going, yeah, I really don't like Deshaun Watson that much. Dylan Gabriel, I got nothing against him, but I don't think much of him as far as being a quarterback there. And all the other names are not very exciting names. If you can't get Fernando Mendoza and you're not gonna, then what is the point of having this big knockdown drag out? Because I don't think he's the distraction that Jason has described him as.
Now, yeah, I think honestly, and I know you get frustrated with this, but I do think it's his fan base and a lot of the talking heads.
Yeah.
When they're ready to call your head coach a racist because he had him lower on the depth chart, like, people don't want to deal with that.
But that's the difference, though. That's our world. And I have to be so abundantly clear. Our world, in this case, is not their world. There are many times where I will look at a player and say, that guy may be a problem. That is somebody that needs to be cut out. Because I know that to the players, he's a bothersome teammate. There is currently a guy that needs to be cut out of this roster that bothers a lot of his teammates. And he will be cut out of this roster coming up here shortly. I can guarantee you that. But it ain't Shadore Sanders. Hand to God. It ain't him. So if it were different, I wouldn't be fighting Jason so much on it. But because we are so ingrained in our fights, because there are plenty of Browns fans who were Browns fans before, and they were Browns fans after, and they find a fan base that is of the quarterback that they find to maybe be interlopers, maybe they find to be just Johnny-come-latelys or whatever. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to listen to it. They're annoyed by it, and they just want him to go away. And I'm thinking, hey, he's your best crack to have something that is decently watchable in 2026, unless you can talk them into, unless the new head coach does have some semblance of power and believes that strongly in Mac Jones, even though, well, who's his head coach? Kyle Shanahan. What does Kyle Shanahan think of the Browns? Well, that's automatically going to cost us more because he holds a grudge. Is it Malik Willis? Malik Willis is a free agent. Like we'll have plenty of time to write down all these names.
Well, it'd be interesting if Matt LaFleur, if he became available, and what does he think of Malik Willis?
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good point. I'd take Matt LaFleur
and what are these connections?
Hell, I might be willing to take Mike LaFleur at that matter. There are there's a Mike LaFleur.
Supposedly the Browns actually liked Malik Willis in the pre-draft process.
Apparently Andrew did.
Yeah. Now
that was several years ago.
What does he look like in the NFL? Obviously, he played well the last few times we saw him. And sometimes that's all it takes. I mean, we've seen guys get contracts.
Joe Milton in Week 18 last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That changed good God, we had Brian calling and saying, you guys need to go get him.
Who are some of those other examples that we've had where...
Matt Flynn. Did you just say Matt Flynn?
No, the Matt Flynn one was the example, right?
Yep,
Wasn't
Matt Flynn. Guys get hot hands. They get Scott Mitchell, if you want to go deep into history there. Guys get hot hands. They get contracts. They get picked up. I mean, it's always been desperate for QBs in this generation.
How often does it actually work?
Not very often.
Now, obviously, Malik Willis in his situation.
Scott Mitchell had some success with the Lions, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, Matt Castle went to the playoffs.
And Matt Castle went to the playoffs.
But they traded for him, too.
Yeah.
Like Malik Willis, he wasn't going to unseat the guy ahead of him.
No.
So that's not his fault.
No. But this is the saddest commentary I've ever had because I just don't see any good way that I'm willing to rock the boat on what I have. I mean, at this point, guys, I texted Dane during the break. Dane from The Athletic was willing to text me back. I asked him how many first-round grades he has because it's not about quarterbacks. It's about positions in general. I might get beat up for this. I'm willing to trade down and get another first-round pick next year if I can.
Well, it's going to be a better draft. That is 100% going to be a better draft. Not just quarterbacks either.
I can't wait around for a quarterback. Like I don't want to preach to fear a quarterback. So because we'll get more time to look at Julian Sayin and Arch Manning and Lenore Sellers and et cetera, and we'll talk ourselves out of it. You spend enough time at a car dealership, you can talk yourself out of it. Okay, so we'll spend enough time to talk ourselves out of these guys. I'm not trying to do it to fear of all quarterbacks. I hate that. But I don't want to make some stupid decision that's going to have ramifications on 2026. I don't want to do what the Cardinals did and have to turn right around and draft another guy number 1 anyway. I don't want to do that either. So I'm stuck in a really tough spot as a Browns fan now. I think a lot of people, Owen, do you think that they agree with me? I think they do, where you don't trust Andrew Berry. He had a good draft last time. I hope he makes as many good draft picks as he possibly can this time. But when it comes to looking for QBs and when it comes to finding the head coach and all this stuff, no. Yeah. What? Oh.
Go to the phone.
Matt in North Carolina?
No, line 5.
DJ. Oh, sorry. DJ and Cuyahoga Falls, you're next up on the fan. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't see the hand signals.
It's all good, fellas.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, I'm slow this morning. I'm tired. Go ahead, DJ.
I've been on call wait for a long time because somebody said what I've been saying, and I think it's gonna happen. I'm sorry, Ken, but I couldn't agree more with Jason Lloyd. I do not think he's even going to be on this roster next year.
Well, hey, it could be up to that head coach who's coming in, but I don't think he's done anything to warrant that he should not be on the roster.
And I want to say this.
Fine.
I completely agree with you. I believe the viewpoint you're looking at it through is he's not the problem. I don't disagree with that. The noise around Shadore, I can't believe that y'all said earlier when Jason was talking that y'all didn't think that the noise was as bad as people thought it was going to be.
Well, Lima did. I didn't think it was as bad.
It was absurd. I mean, and I think, King, you do a tremendous job of blocking out things I guess you don't want to hear.
I do a pretty good job of sticking my head in the sand.
I think Jason Whitlock called him out on that.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Like, the things that Kevin Stfansky went through, and the problem is part of his fan base, or cult, if you want to call it that, but I won't do it. Part of his fan base is media members, and that is noise that these franchises hear. I mean, some of the things that have been claimed about Kevin Stfansky by people on ESPN and PFT and FSS1, and I mean, it was absurd. I've never seen. Everybody wanted the Browns to treat Shadore like anything but a fifth-round pick, except for the Browns. The Browns treated him like a fifth-round pick. Some fifth-round picks don't even make a roster. Nobody cares what happened with Tony Fields 3 years ago. But because he is who he is, people put so much stock in it, and his fan base are celebrities and are these top talking heads on these top networks, it created so much noise. Kevin Stfansky was getting asked about game balls, y'all. Game balls. We was having conversations.
Well, there was a precedent for that. Would you have given Deshaun Watson a game ball for throwing for, 139 against the Titans or whatever the hell you said it was over there?
Washington?
Washington, that's what it was.
You talking about Washington?
Yeah, Washington.
Second half?
Yeah.
DJ,
I wish I could have given you more. I wish I could have given you more time. I got to let you go, and I thank you very much for the call. You are right. The media said a lot of things, but listen, if he couldn't handle it as a head coach, then yeah, go. Media's going to say a lot of things that are patently, and I know a lot of those things about Kevin are patently false. False. But I think inside those walls, it was not the distraction that we think it is because guys on TV shows were talking. Rat Boy and the Hog. What are they saying down in Cincinnati? It's coming up on the Fan. Window Nation.
Moving forward, big deal. So Zach Taylor has a press conference yesterday following this statement, and this was his reaction to those statements released by the Bengals owner.
What does it mean to you to have the owner come out and say such positive things?
I'm appreciative of that, and again, I think when you're aligned and you get together like we get together and we're on the same page, I don't need those things said about me, but it's certainly helpful as we move forward and provides clarity, and so again, appreciative of that.
Did you need that?
No, I didn't need that. I felt I've had plenty of conversations. So,
why did you feel secure given how the season went?
I guess more so I don't need I didn't need a statement, but I'll just continue my job, and but I do appreciate him doing that. But I just feel like we are on a path to really good things next year.
So do you think he needed that statement? I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure following those comments. Did he need that statement?
I think hell yeah, he needed that statement.
I think he said no less than 6 times right there that no, I didn't need it. I didn't need it.
Yeah.
I didn't need it.
A lot of fans thinking differently of him. Can I ask you this? What would you rather be right now, a Browns fan or a Bengals fan? It's a conversation. I'm not sure which way I side yet. I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're still taking the team with Joe Burrow, but what's it gotten them? I mean, they can't get to the playoffs.
Would you be more frustrated if you know you have a bona fide good quarterback in Joe Burrow and you can't do nothing
That's
with it?
the problem. If you're a Cincinnati fan, you're like, we could get anybody to coach Joe Burrow. Literally anybody would be lining up to coach Joe Burrow, and we're sticking with this failed head coach.
They don't just have Joe Burrow. They have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Well, it's not like they got a quarterback and they're slinging it to nobody.
Honestly, Owen, that's part of the problem. They should definitely get rid of T. Higgins. Like if it would help them
upgrade the roster,
to upgrade offensive line.
Yeah, because I don't think definitely in the football play
you don't need T. Higgins. You could put Eddie. The way he distributes the ball.
You've had a lot of you're going to have to get rid of one of them if you want some more defensive help. And the folks that have been saying, well, they need to do right by Joe Burrow. They did right by Joe Burrow. They kept both his buddies.
Which was a mistake.
They kept Trey Hendrickson,
who
was old. And I know that was before the season. They thought they were going to the playoffs. And a lot of people thought the Bengals were going to the playoffs. So it's easy to do in hindsight. But I think that they've done more than what people want to realize. They just have not drafted well on the defensive side of the football.
Like, I know people
and they've let
won't want to hear
the
this
wrong
around
people
here. What do you think Kevin Stfansky would do with Joe Burrow?
Oh, God. Sorry, I was thinking about Shamar Stewart there for a second because I remember what Nathan said. I was like, we all saw that coming. Probably go to the playoffs. I don't know if they go much further. I'm just saying, probably go to the playoffs. Well, that'd be weird if the Browns would have had a good offense and a bad defense.
Yeah.
That defense is terrible down
there. Yep.
Our defense, obviously, damn good. Big waste considering we're only a 5-win team, but still. Go ahead, Meredith.
All right, so one more AFC North topic here. Lamar Jackson was asked about his future with the Ravens following their loss to the Steelers on Sunday night. His response: "We just lost a game, a divisional game, a game to put us in the playoffs. I'm not even thinking about that right now. To be honest with you, I'm caught up in what just happened. That's not my focus right now." So now we've got this question, I think, with the Ravens of who do you keep? John Harbaugh.
I'm telling you,
Lamar Jackson.
This will sound crazy, and if you watch Lamar,
you would trade Lamar over John Harbaugh.
Well, listen. Here's the issue. Like, Lamar clearly is not the same quarterback come playoff time, and when it gets cold, and when the bumps and bruises, the aches and pains mount up over the course of a season, it's harder for him to just take off and run in the playoffs. You saw how banged up he was this year. I could understand the standpoint, because, again, Harbaugh won a Super Bowl without Lamar Jackson. I could understand the thought process of what could we get for Lamar this time around. I know last time there was like some weird collusion and nobody put in an offer because they could have matched it.
Yeah, it was weird.
But if you actually said, hey, we are opening up the bidding war, you saw what Deshaun Watson got. What could Baltimore get? And their organization, I would trust them to do well with the picks and to kind of rebuild in quick order. I would trust their infrastructure.
He ain't going anywhere. That cap hit is amazing. You'd have to be able to match it. Have you ever seen Slapshot?
Mm-hmm.
I think he wanted to go trade me right bleeping now. That's what I think he was thinking of.
Well, Ken, you joked about on Twitter, and you brought it up on the show at the very beginning about trading Lamar to a divisional team.
Send him on to a different place. Yeah.
But here's my question. So you've got two options because the Bengals wouldn't be looking for him. You've got maybe the Steelers if Aaron Rodgers decides to retire, and you have the Browns when you're looking at the division. But we know, because Dion said this, Shadore confirmed it, that he didn't want to go to the Ravens because he didn't want to sit behind Lamar Jackson. So knowing that, do you really think it would be in the Browns' best interest if this hypothetical situation happened of the Ravens say, okay, Lamar, we'll trade you? Would it really be in the Browns' best interest knowing that Shadore didn't want to go to the Ravens because of Lamar?
So we wouldn't trade for Lamar Jackson because of Shadore?
I'm asking
I like
you.
Shadore. I'm not nuts.
But I mean that's something that you have to deal with because and you had Jason Lloyd talking about the circus in the locker room.
No, you would just
right?
have Lamar, and then Jason would be right.
And then would you trade Shadore, or would you trade him or cut him or?
Yeah, well, as Andrew Berry has said many times, Meredith, that's a great thought. Andrew Berry has said many times, quarterbacks are currency.
What would they get?
Maybe you could trade him.
What would they get for Shadore? Would they get better than a 5th round pick?
You could always get your 5th round pick back.
I feel like you'd have to because
trade him to the Ravens?
I feel like he's played better than a 5th round pick than what you would expect out of a 5th round pick for the few games that he got the start.
There's a bunch of guys drafted below him that have played way better than he has.
That's true.
What a week it's been already. It's Tuesday. Kurt Signetti and trading Lamar Jackson to the Cleveland Browns.
All right, let's go big picture with the NFL. We've got the wild card weekend coming up. The 11-6 Eagles will play host to the 12-5 49ers, and the 8-9 Panthers get the home field advantage against the 12-5 Rams. How do you feel about these lesser teams getting home field advantage in wild card weekend?
I want to defend it, but I can't defend it. I have to agree with you.
It's just dumb.
It is.
Like, fine, if you want to say division winners still get in the playoffs no matter what, I mean, I think I have a good argument of getting rid of this whole setup, but whatever. If you want to cling to tradition and keep division, keep that important.
Divisions are something you could sell, too.
That's fine. I mean, to me, it's just kind of an arbitrary 4-team thing, and I think we should have all the best teams in, and we don't do that. But if you're going to do it this way to preserve all that stuff, why are you guaranteeing a division winner a home field game in the playoffs? Give it to the better team. Look at the better team. I
you're
just
right
think it's
about
so
that.
easy.
I think you're right about that because a lot of teams in this position, it's not like they're going to tank it on purpose so they can get home field advantage.
No.
Because the Panthers were in a situation where they were dire. I know they lost and got in, but
Pittsburgh.
They got in on a tiebreaker is how they got in.
Carolina, reward Pittsburgh for winning their divisions, and then reward Houston. And who is Carolina going to be playing? Reward the teams that are playing them with home field advantage because they had better seasons.
So how do you reward Carolina and reward the Rams for having the better season? So what would be the reward for Carolina if not home field advantage?
It would be that they go to the playoffs. They
just making the playoffs?
That they have no business in.
Yeah.
That they're better teams then.
Yeah, I got to agree with Tone. I mean, I
see what you're saying, but the way they set up wild card weekend is division winners get the home field advantage. Carolina, even though they had a lesser season than the Rams, they are the division winner. So with the way it's set up, that's how the cookies.
They were better than 3 other teams.
That's how the cookies crumble.
You missed out on Anthony's hatred for divisions for years.
I mean, I haven't missed out. I've heard it. I just haven't been on the show while he's rallied against them.
The fight every day. I think everybody else is tired of fighting with him on it.
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily disagree with Anthony, though. I know that might be...
Congrats on being better than the Buccaneers, Falcons, and Saints, but you don't get a home game.
He's right. Man's got a point, man.
Cool, that's the rules.
And I want to change them.
Is that it for Rat Boy and the Hog?
That's all we got for now.
And that's it for Rat Boy and the Hog. Up in 5 minutes, this could be Miles' last head coach with the Cleveland Browns. Maybe he should have a say-so on who they choose. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, and some Miles Garrett and 5 on the Fan.
Anthony Lima.
I'm Jeff Thomas.
The Browns coaching search is on.
When you hire a head coach, it's someone who has to be able to lead your players, lead your staff, lead the organization, lead through hardship, and lead through crisis.
Keep it locked on The Fan all day for the latest coaching news with the Browns and around the NFL. This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns. 92.3 The Fan.
Win a 4-pack of tickets to the Fan Night. Hey, Cleveland State basketball Thursday.
Better believe it.
January 15th at 7 p.m.
That's next Thursday,
guys.
That's
been added to the Lima calendar. My wife saw it on social media. That's how she added it to the calendar. She saw it this morning on social media and said, when were you going to tell me about this?
Saw our pictures together on there?
Yes. She literally DM'd me on Instagram and said, well, I added it to the calendar. Thanks for telling me. Anyway, I'm like, I feel like I just found out. It's hosted by Ken Carman and me, Anthony Lima. Get tickets at csuvikings.com/tickets. Enter the word RUN, R-U-N, by the end of the hour at 923thefan.com to get registered to win. So again, January 15th, Thursday, 7 p.m., Wolstein Center. We're just going to be watching some college basketball. We're going to be watching some college hoops.
Yep. I remember the last time I went to a CSU game with you.
Is that going to be Doug Gottlieb?
You yelled something inappropriate at the wrong time. You don't remember that, do you?
When is there a wrong time?
Tone got all lubed up, yelled something inappropriate at the wrong time. No one caught it but me. I was mortified. Just mortified.
So could it happen again?
Could it happen again? You'll have to find out. Go to the CSU game next Thursday. We will be there. Tone Master General and myself will be there next Thursday. Doug Gottlieb still the head coach
They
of
had a
UW.
comeback win last night. They blew
Green
a big
Bay.
lead, then came from behind.
It's great. I just, as long as he's still the head coach there.
We got to have him on that day. If he's still the head coach, we got to have him on, right?
Hell yeah.
So here again,
have him in studio. They'll be in town.
Enter the word RUN, R-U-N, by the end of the hour at 923thefan.com.
You're telling me Wisconsin Green Bay doesn't just fly in for the game and fly right back out?
I love I just volunteered his time. Bring his ass in the studio. What else he got going on?
He doesn't need to prepare for
probably
his
misses
game.
radio. He'd probably have to kick him out of here. Physically remove him. And then he'd throw a chair, allegedly. Well, that was on tape.
We got to go to Becky's before the game, get some drinks.
Whatever you want to do, man. I'm down. I don't care. Why are you looking at me like that?
What's that,
for,
Owen?
Yeah, what was that look
Parnell's?
for?
Have fun.
You don't want to come?
I go to the public house myself.
Come.
Viking public house.
Is there a Viking public house?
Oh, yeah.
You guys know like every bar in this, in like the whole city, the
I
whole
call it
region.
market research. You can call it going to the bar.
I mean, yesterday.
But when I talk to my wife, I'm doing research.
I didn't know anything about a Sloppy Bob's or anything like that. No, it's like, oh, God, he's telling me the menu and all the other things. And then I'm getting
deep fried
texts.
Uncrustable.
I'm getting texts from people in Parma. The mayor texts me, oh, you got to come out next year. I was
Well,
like,
hold on.
All right, I'll bring it up to Owen.
Comprehensive, exhaustive search. It's what we want the Browns to do. This is what we've been doing for years.
And out there, pounding the pavement.
I used to go to bars a lot, man. I don't get to go to bars very much. And I love a good bar. Really,
here's what you got to do. You've got it partly. You're kind of too busy in the evening.
Yeah.
But sometimes, your children need to go to a special camp or a clinic, and it's hosted at this certain place, and maybe there's a brewery right next to it. And maybe you drop them off, and then you go, just sample. Get the little flights.
I'm not allowed to bring him in after 7 o'clock. That's becoming a rule now at the breweries.
Yeah.
Yeah? Which I don't even want him in there with.
There's a place in Rocky River I'll tell you about. It's really good to drop your kids off, and then you go do some imbibing.
I'll just drop them off at a place they can go to work. To hell with them. I don't care. God, I love a good bar. I do, man. And I mean old style, like lights on, like not dark, not loud, guy in a denim jacket sitting next to me. Like that's what I like, man. That's what I want. All right, back to the Browns. Clock back in. Time to do it some more. Myles Garrett, he was talking about things on Friday. It's interesting what Myles had to say, and I had this idea, but let's hear Myles about this whole ordeal.
No committed to winning, and 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 no committed to winning.
It's not a bit.
It's not a bit. That's an accident.
I thought at first it was.
I'm just going to let it go now.
I'm like, Diabolical Owen is back. Showing off his craft.
This is the best mix-up ever. It's the equivalent of playing porn by accident on the news. That was great. All right, so Myles Garrett is committed to winning over and over and over again. And
seriously, it's in queue in my ear and it won't stop. I'm figuring it out.
Myles said he's committed to winning, and
he said he's not interested in a rebuild.
Not interested in a rebuild.
And then Andrew Berry was asked about that yesterday.
Let's see what he has to say.
By Mary Kay, and let's see if he repeats himself.
Myles and I have good and frequent dialogue. I think when people hear the term rebuild, and probably specifically here, really their thought is tear down, right? The idea that you're trading away a number of prime players or veterans, and you're accumulating resources and things of that nature. When we think about where we are in our transition, it really is about building up the offense. Many of the trades that we've made are, really about maybe players who won't be a part of the future core, and getting future value for when we're in our prime window with this roster.
Committed to winning, and no committed to winning.
It's still doing it.
No committed to winning.
All right, so he's not interested in any sort of rebuild. Mary Kay asked him about that, which, all right, I love her. I love her, but we are starting we're in the second Super Bowl window.
We're still in number 2.
While we're firing the coach, and we think that the future of the current general manager is tenuous at best. Anywho, he doesn't want to rebuild. Well, I'm sorry. Probably going to have to be part of a rebuild here, because I can't move your contract. I mean, they can move your contract, but there's a lot of things that have to match up, and it's probably not feasible in so many ways. So if you have Myles Garrett there, and it seems like, hey, buddy, you're probably going to finish your career here in Cleveland. Does his opinion matter, the next head coach, to you? I can say, should he have a seat at the table? No, I want to ask Browns fans. Does his opinion of who the next coach should be, should it matter to you? You said yes.
Well,
I think
here's
you're going
why.
to steal my thunder.
I just don't really feel like having a mopey Myles Garrett around and then revisiting what he did a year ago where he put the organization on blast. Even if I agreed with almost everything he said, you just don't really need that, during the Super Bowl week and making that one of the biggest stories in football. Like, I mean, I could see that happening again if this team doesn't do well.
So he's going to go out there and show his ass again on Radio Row. And
I do think, like,
we
Myles,
really can't trade him now, man.
I know. That's the hard part. I think he has strong opinions. That doesn't mean they're right opinions. But I do think he has earned it. If there's one thing that his greatness has done, I think you use the term seat at the table. It's not like I'm saying, all right, Myles, yes or no, and I'm listening to that entirely. Like, Myles is a smart dude. I don't think he is a binary guy. Like, I think he'll have feedback. He'll know against some of if it's an offensive coach, Myles has probably gone up against those offenses, and I'm sure he has thoughts on the scheme and what he's heard around the league.
Yeah.
Like, at least bring him in.
Let me put this by you. Now, I've said he's got way more money than I'm guessing than anybody listening, obviously anybody talking on the radio right now, right? But I've said he's basically got a lifetime contract now, and you've heard him say a lot of things that you will hear at Sloppy Bob's or at one of the bars that we might go to before the CSU game next Thursday. A lot of what the same Browns fans are thinking. I've compared him. I go, he's a Browns fan now. Like, he is Miles and Wadsworth calling in now on the fan. Like, that's what he's become. Do you think he has the same feelings? This is very speculative. Do you think he's got the same feelings of what we do, where I have very little trust in Andrew Berry to pick the right guy?
Ooh,
because
that's
let me ask you this.
a good question.
He what separates him, obviously, other than millions of dollars and that he's a physical freak and all these other things, he actually has some power to change this.
Yeah.
He actually does. I can rant and rave into the microphone. I can't fix any of this. I can only give you some decent
Even
ideas.
after you ran Baker out of town.
Yeah. Excuse me? I did what?
What?
You ran Baker out of town.
I have more power than Ken Carman?
Apparently you did.
Congratulations on all your success.
That's not going to play over and over again? Back to the nature. I think that it might be a good idea to not just ask Myles' opinion, even consult with him. Hear me out. I just explained to you he's more of a Browns fan than any other guy in that locker room because now he's here forever. You're here forever. But he also has power over this. Are we still looking for leadership? Do we think that he might have made strides this last season in leadership? They carried him off the field on Sunday, guys. Do we think that he made some strides in actual leadership? Like, guys, gather around, let's do this. This is going to be a struggle no matter what. Maybe we should have a guy with a great attitude who's our best player in franchise history on that side of the ball, and arguably, probably a top 3 or 4 player ever in franchise history. Not number 1, but up there. Let's have that guy be motivated. Let's have that guy actually set the table for the next generation of Browns players like Carson, Schlesinger, et cetera, et cetera. Let's have that guy actually bought in emotionally instead of just, well, I'm chasing a sack record. Let's see if we can do it. And if that were to be the way, if we don't have a lot of faith that it's going to go very well to begin with, I think we have one idea who we'd like to take a whirl with.
Well, and I know that, like, he hasn't had to be the leader before. It's not that he shouldn't have been the leader or whatever, contract-wise or player status-wise within the league and all that aside, right? But he kind of had to step up and be the leader this year of this team.
I thought I saw more.
They didn't have the veteran. He's the veteran presence now, right? He's the guy on the 3rd contract.
Yes.
It's his time to do it. And I thought he stepped up admirably in that. You did mention, though, like having him involved in all of this. And this is the clip before we got that little repeat thing. Let's play this clip real quick, though. And he talked about his involvement in all of that going forward.
Committed to winning. And as long as the team and organization are doing so and they're committed to that same thing, then I'm all on board. But if we're thinking anything other than winning, tanking or rebuilding, that's not me.
All right, let me ask you, out of the guys that I had, and it's just my list, right? Who do you think he'd be most enthused by? Let me get the list out one more again. And again, Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. Jesse Minter from the Chargers, young guy. Joe Brady, 36-year-old offensive coordinator of the Bills. Chris Shula, Rams DC, he's 39. Brian Flores, hard-ass, certifiable, former coach, 44 years old. Or Jim, current DC, guy he likes, 59 years old, former head coach.
Is Schwartz going to look better every single day as we get further into this?
Yeah.
And especially because the fans aren't going to know.
You're looking for anybody you kind of sort of trust.
These young offensive minds are not considered Ben Johnson this time or even Liam Cohen this time around. So, which doesn't mean, by the way.
Doesn't mean they can't be good coaches.
Can't be good.
You're right.
Like, they might be good. But
you're right.
You could also bring, depending on how you feel about Tommy or somebody else over. I mean, that's all part of it. And it's been a long time. I said yesterday, I don't think his run in Detroit is going to hold him back this time around. Like, it's been so many years. He's a different coach.
The one thing that held him back before, and we've touched on this before, was his health, right? And that's Vrabel actually got him back into coaching and just kind of got him in the building in Tennessee. His health was a real concern, 7 years ago, and he seems to have gotten that back on track. I don't know if that would dissuade him from wanting to take the head coaching job because of the stress that it puts on you as a head coach. But obviously he took the other franchise that's kind of laughing stock of the NFL, especially the last, this century, in Detroit, and put them in the playoffs with a young quarterback.
All right, let me ask you guys, 216-474-0092. You make a hell of a point. Should Miles... Does Miles' opinion matter to you? Not whether or not he should have a seat at the table. He's the cornerstone of the franchise. Does his opinion matter to you about the future head coach of the Cleveland Browns? 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Tone Master General, fat and thin in the morning on the Fan.
Anthony Lima for Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here with Fanatics. We've been saying it all season long, and it's now we get into the playoffs. You don't have to wait for a what-if moment and switch to the sportsbook that protects all pro player props across straights, parlays.
Pan. Listen to The Fan Rewind weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Does Miles' opinion matter, Tone?
I think it should. I don't think it's the end all. I don't think you're saying yes or no and then taking that as gospel, but I also don't think he'd be that way. I think he would give you a thoughtful, hey, what about Miles would make you think otherwise, right? Do you think he's a prisoner of the moment? I mean, do you think because of the last 2 wins of the year, he's like, well, we got to hire Jim Schwarz, so we had to keep Kevin Stfansky?
I think he is every bit as cynical and bitter as any other Browns fan out there. The difference is he's made a boatload of money. An absolute boatload. I think that he is so much like, we got callers here who are just like, guys, what are you doing? You guys are sitting there fighting over these guys, none of which should be here. All you guys do every morning is fight over losers. And I think that he probably thinks that in so many ways on so many Monday mornings if he happens to tune in or if somebody tells him they were listening. And I think that he is approaching his twilight of his career. Now, it's not like he's at the end of the line and he's out of gas, obviously. But I think that he now sees that there's a finish line here at the end of this career. He's blinked and he's 10 years into this thing now. And I think that if you wanted to get his opinion, I don't think you could do so much worse, and again, you probably will.
Well, and he talked Friday too, and he said he'll give you his opinion, but he's not going to volunteer that info. Like that, it's not
he
something
doesn't have
to. Yeah,
I'll ask him if I'm Kenny Haslam over here, as Lima likes to call me. I'll call Miles. Come on in. Do you have a moment?
And I don't know I want him if I'm Haslam. I don't want him walking in every day and going, Jimmy.
No, you're right.
Yesterday, the Bowflex wasn't working.
Yep. It could turn into Anthony, where it's just everything's a little problem now, and I don't want to listen to you anymore.
Come on.
I just want to make sure you're not working on your effing charts at the end of the show like you're always doing.
Charts out.
Good God.
It's on a deadline.
No, somebody had a picture of Jordan Hudson, said, was she spotted in Ohio City and she's decked out in all Browns gear? That's totally not AI. Maybe one of her tumbling competitions.
Oh my God.
Sponsored by the Browns.
Paul in Canton, the Hall of Fame city. You're next up on The Fan. Hello, Paul.
Hey, how you guys doing? Good morning.
Morning to you, Paul. Go right on ahead.
Well, yeah, I would consider Miles rather strongly because communication is what matters. He doesn't have to be in love with the coach, but he has to respect the coach. Great players don't sometimes make great talent evaluators. But if I was him, I don't want to be Joe Thomas, as in you're a Hall of Fame best, but you've never made a splash in the playoffs because of what was surrounding you, rather if it's other players and coaches. So yes, definitely. And then something that you guys said, a guy said earlier that you would get rid of trade Lamar and keep Harbaugh. It's ridiculous.
Lima,
Browns fan.
Answer the man.
You know how hard it is to find a franchise, let alone a first-ballot Hall of Famer quarterback?
I agree with you. Lima, answer the man. Answer the charges.
I'm just saying it would not surprise me if that's run its course in Baltimore. And yeah, they can pick Lamar, but anybody that's watched him in the playoffs can see he is not the same MVP caliber player. And that's surprising to me. I thought he was going to be a guy to break through. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the weather. When things get cold, he seems to be hovering over in his blankets, and it just doesn't seem like he's the same guy. That's all.
No, I think he's 28. I think he's surrounded by a bunch of Bill Buckners who just keep making the most ridiculous.
Mark Andrews, yeah,
yeah, and he saved Harbaugh's job his rookie year. Like
he did.
Harbaugh won it with Brian Billick's team. I'm not trading somebody because I'm a gambler guy. I saw Lamar go 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4,000 yards, 4 times QBR of all time, and then almost run 4,000 last year. I'm not trading that guy. Bye, Harbaugh. I mean,
Wait a minute. So if Harbaugh got canned, you wouldn't bring him here?
Oh, I mean, I would consider it, but our bar is low. I mean,
okay. I just want to make sure you weren't talking out of your ass there for a second, Paul. I had to be honest. Okay.
Yeah, but I consider sports. I like him. I like the defense they run. I know people are talking about Flores, but Flores runs kind of a different type of defense. I'm a big sports guy. I would like him. I think you stay on the path that you are with Schlesinger, Mason, Graham, Ward, and Miles. And I think we had the best defense. It's just our offense was just so bad.
This terrible.
So imagine our defense with a decent offense.
Well, it's like, why can't I hire? And there's a lot of people, and I know this is a conversation, again, for later on in this whole process, Paul. Thank you very much for the call. Is that you have people going, well, we have to have an offensive guy. We have to have a defensive guy. Why can't I have a defensive guy? Does it have to be an offensive guy?
The thought is always going to be that you're just going to lose your offensive coordinator if you have a great year, but it's like good problem
true.
to have.
That's true. Well, it comes down to your hiring practice and how much you know, and definitely defensive coordinators have to know people. You can't just be data-driven on everything. You have to know the people and the personnel that you have. Now, the majority of head coaches in the NFL are offensive guys, but this is why I bring this up. In all reality, Jim Schwarz, I would never, ever, 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 ever leak it, never say it out loud, whatever. I think he might be a safety. Like a safety school, he might be a safety choice.
Okay, to see how their process...
Yeah, like we could bring in this guy bring in a Clint Kubiak, right? Clint Kubiak's doing a great job in Seattle. Can't bring him in yet. They're in the playoffs. You bring in Clint Kubiak, and he sits down, and he does all these things. You really like Clint Kubiak, but you know what? He's really more interested in the Giants job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you go, okay, well, and his dad talks him out of it. Then you bring in somebody else, and hey, they're great off this, that, and the other, and all that stuff goes on. And then you're going to go, hey, you know what? We're just going to decide to keep this thing in-house. Because one, I think you could do a lot worse than Jim Schwarz. You could probably do better, but you could do a lot worse than Jim Schwarz. The second thing is you're not going to upset the fan base. Like if they announce Jim Schwarz at the end of the month, would the fan base be upset that Jim Schwarz is the new head coach? Would we get that many? We'd have some people upset. We wouldn't get any really outraged calls over it. We wouldn't. They know him. They know he's been successful with this defense. They know that Miles likes him. So he'd be a fine safety pick.
So funny. It was literally a day ago, I think in the 8 o'clock hour, where I'm like, man, if they just bring Schwartz in and elevate him and Tommy is the OC, it just feels like the same. And now a day later, I'm like, well, who are the candidates?
Exactly. Like if you got Tommy Rees, you might get some people going, okay. I think a lot of people go, oh, God. Because he's young, and you have poisoned their thoughts on Tommy Rees. But Jim Schwartz, I think he commands the room. A lot of people have a lot of respect for him. Would he be my number one choice? No, Brian Flores is my number one choice if I'm going just by my list out there. And there will be other names that I'm sure that hopefully I'll give whoever they got a fighting chance, but I will be hesitant to just go headlong and let's all be buddy together again, because I don't know how long that guy's going to be here, depending on how things are going to go this coming season. But if you wanted to really value Miles' opinion and you trusted Miles more this year, now I don't know everything that's gone on in the building, but again, I've known a lot more than what I want to lay it on in so many ways, and we had that argument out earlier today with Jason about the whole distraction stuff, because I don't think it was necessarily that much. I do think, and maybe this is because he was chasing history, and that comes off as selfish to some folks. I understand that. I do think that he's grown in his role as a quote-unquote leader in terms of being a guy that gives the rah-rah, that tries to get other players motivated. Jim Schwartz gets people motivated. I don't know if Sam Webb's ever going to play another down in the NFL. Nothing against him. Well, he was certainly motivated on Sunday. He was right comfortable at home enough to get a flag on celebrating a touchdown. Jim Schwartz can get him going. And if I need anybody, what did I tell you? I need a motivator. I need a leader of men. It makes the offensive coordinator position harder because you have a defensive guy. You have to have that much more trust in the guy. It's difficult to hire a defensive coach as a head coach to get the fans in. But again, you have experience with this guy. I don't know how greatly successful it would be, but there's a lot of things that I go, that makes sense. This would make sense if you were to keep Jim Schwartz and make him the head coach.
it would not be like Freddie Kitchens. It would not turn into some disaster embarrassment.
And
Freddie was fun, but we know what that was.
And hopefully the defense wouldn't miss a step with him changing his responsibilities, because obviously he'd be overseeing everything. I thought Kevin, by the way, it didn't really work out. Kevin giving up the play calling, I thought that he would have a greater mastery of the whole team and situational issues, and it seemed like they would show him on camera, and you could tell like there was like probably the wrong substitution or a guy lined up wrong, and he wasn't really the backstop to fix any of that.
Well, then that's a problem.
So it didn't really work.
That's a problem. But
so I can't have that happen.
The attention to detail has to be that much sharper if you're not going to be the offensive coordinator. You have to be paying attention
So
to
that's
that
what
stuff.
I mean for Schwartz. If you elevated him and all of a sudden he's not, he's your defensive coordinator, but he's not. He's got a defensive passing coordinator. You know how they divvy up the responsibilities. If he is not totally still into that, like I know he's going to be, his responsibilities will kind of change, but he's still got to be the guy.
Get to Nick in Cleveland. Hello, Nick.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good morning.
Not terrible, Nick. Go right on ahead.
Hey, there's a lot to like about the idea of Jim Schwarz, and one of my things that I think about is the Browns as an organization has yet to like instill confidence that they have a plan. If you move on from Stfansky and you bring in Schwarz, I kind of have the feeling, or at least like make me think that, man, they had a plan. Like there's a plan that actually they put together. Like the team likes the guy and everything. And I like the fact of like he's going to be a second tread head coach. Guys have good success coming back and being a head coach. He's been now through 3 or 4 different teams as defensive coordinator. He's seen great success. Everybody likes the guy. I think he deserves a chance. And honestly, like, I don't want to lose him. Like, if you don't hire Jim Schwarz and you bring in somebody else is going to bring in their own coaches. They're going to bring in their own assistants. And Jim Schwarz is just probably going to move on and maybe be the defensive coordinator at the New England Patriots or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to move on and coach somewhere else. Like, we've already missed out on Mike Vrabel. Like, we're missing out on guys that we should have hired internal. Like, you can go all the way back to Shanahan.
I still don't think
when he was here.
Nick, I know that a lot of people don't listen. And Shanahan's fair. Shanahan is a fit. Now, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't like the system. And thank you for the call. He might not have liked the systems enough. Nothing was keeping him. Maybe that's possible. Maybe it's the same thing because I say that about Vrabel. I go, if you guys think that this thing's a mess and dysfunctional, quote unquote, then he's had a front row seat to it. And so there's maybe a lot of things that he doesn't trust and he wouldn't pick this job again. You got Drake May over in New England. We don't. And Shadore Sanders is not Drake May right now. And I don't know if he's ever going to be. I'm willing to take a look at him in 2026, but no. And I think that Mike Vrabel knows, just like Kevin Stfansky knows, your name's only a big name for so long. Mike Vrabel's a more popular figure, but that's why I'm not surprised. You and I talked about this on the phone yesterday. I'm not surprised at all that Kevin Stfansky wants to jump right back in the mix. His name's never going to be this hot. Never again. Like, he will be, if he wanted to be an offensive coordinator, fine. I don't know if it would ever be this hot. He's not like a John Gruden.
Hold on. You can't, if you have head coaching opportunities, you're not going back to be an OC.
That's exact. But I'm saying if there was that case, like, he's not a TV guy. He's not, like, Gruden loves having his name.
He's actually a Philly sports radio guy.
No, he's not a Philly sports radio guy. He did grow up listening to WIP, as he stated many times. But I think that if he doesn't get a job this cycle, it becomes, oh, yeah, you remember Kevin Stefanski.
Right.
But right now, he's at the top of everyone's mind.
You wonder, because my first thought was, man, he's making so much money this year. Why not step away for a season? That's what Vrabel did. Peyton did. They got reacclimated with what's new in the NFL, what other teams are doing. They would go to different camps. And then you talked me into, but now he's out of sight, out of mind for a year, which that could be dangerous. He hasn't won enough to get the Peyton or Vrabel treatment.
Dwayne in Dallas, you're next up on the Fan. Go.
Yes, sir. Good morning, guys.
Hi.
I respect Miles and his opinion, but question for you guys. Would you say this is like Miles has his highest value right now after setting the sack record?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So I would actually think about trading him. And just a scenario I thought about, I would trade him to Dallas, get their 2 first-round picks.
Are you a Cowboy fan? Are you a Cowboy fan?
No, I'm from Dallas, but I'm a Browns fan.
Well, because I'm sorry, Dwayne, I got to run now because this is just not, this ain't going to compute. His dead cap hit is over $100 million this coming year. You can't trade him for picks. You can't field a football team. Am I wrong?
No, I believe you're right.
Okay.
Andy has a no trade. I'm sure he would waive it for.
Yeah, he'd waive it for the Dallas Cowboys, but like I'm saying, like I don't know how you could.
Yeah, but
could you
money
get
wise,
52 players.
It's the same reason. It's the same reason that I can only guarantee 1 quarterback's on the roster next year, and that's Deshaun Watson because of the dead cap hit.
Yeah, that's true. Like you could keep you would damn sure be having Deshaun Watson on your team if you traded it. You could trade him for picks, I guess, but $102 million.
It's a lot of money.
You could trade him to the Cowboys. You could trade him for Dak Prescott if you wanted to do that. Those contracts match up. Well, Cleveland, let me hear you. 2-1. I mean, you can if you want. Like, there's a Cowboys trade that's available, but it's not realistic. Neither are realistic. 216-474-0092. Dwayne, I mean, yeah, last year it would have been a conversation. Ever since that contract signed, you can call us back on that one in 2028. I just put it up in front of me. It's $13 million. It was 102 on his dead cap hit. 216-474-0092. Lima has an announcement for everybody at 9:43 on the Fan. This is major to the show. Don't know how it's going to go over, but Lima has an announcement for everybody at 9:43 on the Fan.
Brad Evans here to help you beat the Bulls with Westwood One.
This is what Breaking Browns news sounds like.
First of all, ownership takes full responsibility for where we are. To win 8 games in 2 years is horrible. It's totally unacceptable, okay? And it's not going to continue, okay? And I want the fans to know we are as frustrated as you are.
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lima has a major announcement. Not only are we going to the CSU men's game coming up on next Thursday.
And you can win tickets.
You can win tickets
all day through next Wednesday.
Yes. You're going to go have a good time with us. Go watch them take on UW Green Bay, which is coached by Doug Gottlieb. Let's get his ass on the show. Not only is that announcement happening, Lima has an announcement for everybody for the show here. Go right on ahead.
So I printed out a statement. Read this right now. And this is one of those I had already had many people reach out to me. So I wanted to make this abundantly clear so I'm not getting a lot of those messages, the voicemails, the faxes, the emails, the handwritten correspondences. Just stop. I know I have been very vocal in the past when it came to one candidate in particular during 42 other hiring cycles for the Cleveland Browns. So here's my statement. As many of you
printed this out?
Yeah, but I'm just reading off the screen. I really didn't. For cameras.
Theater.
You could have just said yes.
Since many of you...
Wait, there's a real War of the Worlds?
Hold on here. Glasses on.
We're real Orson Welles here.
Aliens?
Since many of you have inquired, I do feel the need to make this announcement that will not be advocating for Josh McDaniels in this Browns hiring cycle. Despite the fact he built yet another top offense, number 1 EPA per play, and he had fueled yet another MVP year for his quarterback. Ho-hum, this will be the 7th top 3 finish for his signal caller. It's a lot. I've decided to vouch for other candidates. I did add one other sentence at the end, and I thought about this. If the Patriots do go to the Super Bowl, I reserve the right to revisit this. I just wanted to make sure to put out any of those fires.
If they go to the Super Bowl, if they win the Super Bowl, you ain't arguing for this. No. We're done. I like Josh McDaniels' father. I don't know him. I've only been like a fan of his father, and we've had passing conversation. But come on, we're done here. Stop it.
He's
stop it.
Only in his early 50s?
Stop it. We're going to have Josh McDaniels Anonymous here on this show for you. You got to stop,
I said
man.
I'm not advocating for him.
You got to stop.
I wanted to make it clear. He is clearly... It's him, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, the best offensive minds in football. And he's been that for 20 years. It's pretty incredible.
However, 5 Points Vids on Twitter, which I follow on YouTube because the videos are pretty good. Early hire predictions has the Browns taking Josh McDaniels.
No.
Swear to God.
No. I haven't seen him on any lists.
If the season started today, he'd only be 49.
Guys, just let Josh McDaniels be
the best offensive coordinator in football.
Gunther Cunningham, Dick LeBeau, those are both defensive guys. Yeah. Let him be them. Okay? Let him be a legendary offensive coordinator. Let him be that. Let him be Mike Vrabel's Dick LeBeau.
What if he said I could fix Shadore Sanders? Josh McDaniels, can fix.
I'm sure he thinks he can. And I'm not going to be willing to give him the chance this time. He spent all that time, and you've said this, I've looked after all my own problems and went to Las Vegas and went back to same old Josh.
Yeah, the problem was Pete Carroll doing Las Vegas. He was one and done.
Pete Carroll ain't no comparison. Just because they hired bad people after him, he's not a bad guy. Just because they made bad hires after him doesn't mean that he was just so much better. He just is another line of the bad hires. Like if Kevin Stfansky, Kevin Stefanski's a bad example. Who was the most successful before Kevin? Was it Mangini?
Butch?
No, Butch. Okay, Butch. Do you think Butch was a great hire?
I thought it was a good hire.
Okay.
I did.
I think marginally he was a good enough hire.
His problem was he wanted to do what Josh wants to do. He wants to take all the players. He wanted to pick all the players.
Exactly. Well, there you go.
He brought all his former players in, and it was just a terrible idea.
Exactly. Let me change it up a little bit. It's the same thing we do with quarterbacks. Well, this guy is the best quarterback the Browns have had since Bernie Kosar. That ain't saying much.
No. No, it's not.
That ain't saying a lot. If Josh McDaniels is the best head coach that the Raiders have had over the last 10 years, that ain't saying much. 216-474-0092. Respectfully, local guy, like the family, respect his father, what he did in high school football. We're done here. And
that's why I'm not advocating for it.
There
this
you
time,
go.
Unless they go to the Super Bowl.
If they go to the Super Bowl, I will strike you down every chance I get. Do not start this silliness again. I respect him as an offensive coordinator. We're not going down that road. Who knows what type of mood I'll wake up in the day you decide to do that. We'll see. Matt in the car, you're next up on the fan. Go. Go, 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 go.
Hey, guys, at the risk of this being a bad comparison, I just don't understand this is like the equivalent of a restaurant where a chef keeps giving customers food poisoning. They get rid of the chef. They bring in another chef, keeps giving everyone food poisoning. They get rid of the chef, but yet at the same time they're keeping the supplier of all the meat. That's how I feel like what they're doing with Barry. I don't understand what they're doing with this. And by the way, hey Ken, how did your fourth place prediction for the Steelers go this year? It's okay. You guys can take your 17-game.
Yeah, we don't need that. Come on. We're trying to have
You lost.
an uplifting show. We don't need those kind of attacks.
You lost, and Ken was there.
Yeah. It was a great time. I watched it with Pony. Then he paid for my dinner.
Wow.
He did the thing like he pushed my cart aside and then paid for the dinner. We were at Dina's bar. Excellent. Unpaid testimonial, man. It was awesome. I had a Philly. It was good. Can I got one more?
Get one more.
Oh, yeah.
Matt in North Carolina, you're next up on the fan.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Wonderful, Matt. Go right on ahead.
Hey, I am super stoked on Schwartz. I want to bring in Brian Callahan so that we get Coach Callahan back to be our offensive line coach. And then I got a sleeper for special teams. I want Phil Dawson.
Okay, he's a coach. He's a coach.
Teams.
He is a coach. That's not the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. Matt, can I just say thank you for the call? I thought that Mike Bloomgren did a fine job this year, considering what he had. Everybody loves Bill Callahan.
Say that
I love Bill Callahan as much as the
not
next
say
guy.
that to Shadore fans. Do not utter those words.
He's not in charge of it. He's in charge of just making them work together, and I thought they worked together.
Well, if Shadore fans will just turn their eyes to a chart that I saw on the internet.
It is a chart.
I thought Mike Bloomgren did a fine job turning chicken salad out of
linemen.
What do you think, Josh McCown? Is he on your radar?
Not until you just said that. I forgot. Yeah, throw him on there. For OC? You want him as an OC? You want him as head coach?
Oh, I think he's going to get some head. I think he's going to command, like he walks into a interview. It could be for an OC job, and people be like, make him the head coach.
Got a strong jaw.
Oh, dude.
Remember who else had a strong jaw? And he owns basically an entire cul-de-sac now in Strongsville.
Just show him playing basketball. Remember those videos?
Yep. Thanks to John Greco who joined us. Jason Lloyd.
You don't think Miles would want to play hoops with Josh McCown? Pick up hoops.
Knockdown down in the post.
Drag out with not Josh McCown, with Jason Lloyd. It was nice to win that argument. I'm glad he played along. Losing to me again. We're back tomorrow. We'll go around the AFC North. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Go Cavs! They play tonight. Go Cavs!
No Donovan
Go
Mitchell,
Cavs.
though.
Line of goal. Deliver. Boo. Hey.
Sounds good. Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Loser town, loser fans, and you guys are a loser show.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
This is Drake Toll with the Sports Minute, sponsored by Robinhood. Your money.